Jon Anik and Kenny Florian podcast. Jon Anik and Kenny Florian.
I love him. I can't get enough of him.
Let's hear that Boston next.
Big jab there from Duffy, and Frank Mir is hurt now. Down goes Duffy, out cold. Frank Mir does it again. Rock'em sock'em robots here. Oh my goodness. Hyperbole.
They're a couple of absolutely self-involved bullshit artists.
Here are your hosts, Jon Anik and Kenny Florian.
Yup, here we are after a week away. Did you miss us or what? We missed you. Scheduled dark week for the Anik and Florian podcast last week. Hope everybody enjoyed the holiday. We give the staff 2 or 3 weeks a year to decompress. Last week with the UFC being dark was one of those weeks, but it is great to be back with all of you fine people, especially those of you joining us live on YouTube today. It is Monday, July 14th. The year is 2025. It is episode 558 of the Anik and Florian podcast presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. KenFlo, it's good to see you, man. How we doing?
What's happening, brother? I know you just celebrated a birthday. Happy birthday. Was it last week? Last week now?
Yeah,
dude,
47 years of age. I mean, I'll never catch up to you, but we are old as...
Well, I was going to say, you're all clean shaven, dude. You look like when we first met, man.
Well,
Crazy.
And every time you say that I'm clean shaven, and by the way, we went with a 1.5 on the face today. I'll
Really?
have a full beard by Saturday night. So,
I know, exactly.
and speaking of Saturday night, it is UFC 318. A lot to get to on that front today. Last dance for Dustin Poirier, or is it? No, it will be. Maybe some thoughts from KenFlo on that, but a lot to get into. We will have 7 UFC 318 Holloway v. Poirier 3 predictions for you on the back end of the show. Also scheduled to be joined by one of the big winners from this past weekend, the action man, the king of combat, Chris Curtis, scheduled to join us in about an hour, 12:15 p.m. Eastern time. Ray Longo at 11:30. We'll also talk to my twin brother, Jason Anik, whom I never get to see now because he's in South Florida and I have relocated to Connecticut. So a lot to get into today. But before we get into sort of anything celebratory or mixed martial arts fighting related, Kenny, Ben Askren has dominated the headlines, and rightfully so. And I find myself getting goosebumps when I just utter his name. If you don't know, decorated wrestler, decorated former Bellator champion, UFC veteran, seemingly just all around good egg, family man. He's done so much for the wrestling community. Great father, great husband. He just went through a double lung transplant, and he has come out of it, and we have gotten updates from him. It has been emotional. It has been uplifting. It has been sad. But we covered this man a lot on MMA Live back in the day. I know you have connected with him, and we just got a lot of love for Ben Askren, and that's the way we begin today.
Yeah, Ben is the absolute man. You know, he was a genius folk-style wrestler and freestyle wrestler. He's on the Olympic team, and a guy, of course, who fought at the highest level. And just a great dude. I got to know him the last couple years. Obviously, we both kind of connect on the Bitcoin front. We were proposed with actually a little bit of a venture of doing some media stuff for Bitcoin at one point. Don't know if that's going to happen or not, but either way, man, got a chance to know him a little bit more and got a chance to meet his wife, who's a lovely human being. And to see this happen to a healthy human being, a guy who has been healthy his whole life, and it going from being healthy to a staph infection and pneumonia, and all of a sudden, you know, dying at one point, bedside. I mean, it's just crazy, man. Every day is a gift. And, you know, John and I, you know, we've talked about this many, many times about, you know, how whether it's loved ones or, you know, in our family or people in and around our age that have passed away now that we're getting older, you really start to value every single second of life that you have.
I also found it sort of uplifting, heartwarming, eye-opening to have him talking philanthropically immediately after he comes out of it, just sort of thinking about how he wants to do more. And I think it had a lot of us, Kenny, in the public eye thinking about, you know, the extent to which maybe we have done enough or not when it comes to philanthropy and giving back. And that was sort of foremost among his thoughts when he came out of sedation. Just an incredible human being.
Yeah, absolutely, man. He is a fighter through and through, and walks the walk. And this is one of those things that you can't anticipate. He was talking about, hey, listen, look at me. He's like, I never smoked. I never did anything to harm my lungs. And here I am, and they're being taken away from me. He's like, I could be really bitter about this, or I can just kind of forget it and move forward. And I think that's an important lesson for all of us. And the fact that he's out there inspiring and fighting hard is a great story, and can't wait to see him out of that hospital, back with his family at home, healthy and living a semi-normal life, because the fight isn't over. When you have a double transplant, you know, you're on medication for the rest of your life. You cannot get sick. It's a whole thing. So I've been praying for him. I will continue to do so. And just very happy for him and his family, though.
Yeah, and if anyone can defy odds on the other side of this procedure, I think it's Ben Askren. Huge acknowledgement to his wife, Amy, and everybody from the Wrestling Academy who has supported Ben while he sort of missed the month of June 2025. It's absolutely crazy. Quick story about Ben Askren, if I could, in about 30 seconds. I think I've told it on the Anik Florian podcast before, but I did Bellator Season 1 in 2009, and I think Ben Askren came along to Bellator maybe 2010. I don't know exactly when it was, but I was a big Ben Askren fan, so much so that Ben himself sent me one of those yellow funky Ben Askren t-shirts. And I don't know if it was you or Brian Stan, but I showed up wearing it to a fighter meeting with Joe Silva and Sean Shelby. I believe it was in Atlanta, Georgia, maybe. I don't know where it was, but Joe Silva was put off by that. He did not like that. I don't think he thought Askren was the most exciting fighter in the world, and I don't think he had any inclination to sign him at that point in time. And he told me to go back to my fucking hotel room and change my shirt. I actually think I might have gone back and changed the shirt anyway, out of respect to the UFC fighters. But Ben Askren, we are thinking about you, brother, and would obviously be honored. It isn't a guest-driven podcast here, but we would be absolutely honored to have that man on the program for a quarter of an hour when he gets a little bit more wind underneath him. But we've all been thinking about Ben Askren, needless to say. All right, KenFlo. So on this date in 1995, I'm not going to go all MMA history today every week on the Anik and Florian podcast, but in my research for UFC 318, circumstantially, I came across this. 30 years ago today, UFC 6, Clash of the Titans. Dateline, Casper, Wyoming, Casper Event Center. First UFC champion was crowned in a non-tournament format. Ken Shamrock submits Dan Severn with a guillotine choke in the main event. He became the first UFC super fight champion 30 years ago today. Michael Buffer, your guest ring announcer. Sorry, Bruce.
I love it. I remember watching that event. I mean, I watched them all, but wasn't the most exciting fight. I remember there was a whole lot of circling around in that one, but I do remember the guillotine, and pretty wild, man. How far has this sport come? My goodness.
Right? 30 years time, right? If you think back to like, I don't know, the NBA finals in 1995 relative to where the NBA is right now, mixed martial arts has grown leaps and bounds, as some might say. All right. UFC 318, Holloway v. Poirier 3. Fight week is upon us, and you know what we do to begin our pay-per-view week, whether it's the AM, the PM, or any time of day. It is time for the first shot of the fight weekend with Cuervo. This is presented by Cuervo. You know I got my Cristalino. I don't chill it like KenFlo. As I've gotten older, there's no bitter beer face really for me, whether I'm drinking tequila or gin. No bitter beer face. So first shot of the fight weekend in honor of Dustin Poirier, Max Holloway, and the rest. 28 fighters set to compete at UFC.
Cheers.
Oh, man, that Cristalino is so smooth. It'll win any goddamn taste contest you have out there. So, Kenny, Dustin Poirier is a guy whom you and I have covered extensively throughout our mixed martial arts broadcasting careers. You fought alongside him, right? Your primes weren't necessarily intertwined, but he was in the WEC for a time when you were in the UFC, and there was a little bit of crossover there in the UFC. He made his UFC debut in January of 2011. Your retirement fight for the title against Jose Aldo was October of 2011. So as Dustin Poirier goes into this final fight, I just wanted to get a quick minute from you off the top as to what his career has sort of meant for you and maybe what has been the shining moment.
He's a guy that will be defined by his toughness, his perseverance, and his willingness to improve as a fighter and as a man. And I've just been blown away when I think about where he was to where he is right now. And I always knew that he had the potential to be a superstar, but he's kind of this quiet guy, really. He doesn't go out there and brag about himself or do anything like that. He's just a hard worker who's been grinding his whole life and has had to work for everything he has gotten in his life. And I just love the fact that he's in this spot and has gotten immense respect over the last, I guess, several years now. And, you know, all the sacrifices that he's made have paid off. He's been in this sport since he was just a kid. And I just love it. Dustin Poirier is an awesome human being. And to see him go out in this style is just amazing.
Sometimes you see athletes sort of announce their retirement on the front end. And I know Eddie Alvarez did a recent interview with the Schmo, and he sort of doesn't love when a fighter says they're going to retire. He doesn't think it's necessarily a good harbinger of things to come. Now, I remember like when Derek Jeter did it for the New York Yankees, and the guy was like celebrated 162 times. And as a Red Sox fan, it's like, all right, enough already. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
there is a little bit of meat on the bone when it comes to that, right? I think it does add a little bit of pressure, even though I don't think that is going to be a big deal for Dustin Poirier. But when you think about this career and you think about the Fightville documentary back in 2008 or 2009, and there was some recent video after his loss to the Korean Zombie in a main event on Fuel TV in 2012. It was his first UFC loss, and I think he sort of said, you know, did I go out? And someone said, yeah. He's like, oh my gosh, you know, you can see all the youthfulness in Poirier, but to your point, all the desire to improve. And when you said it, that's what sort of made me think of that. But financial freedom, right? If any fighter, I think, that you and I have covered deserves financial freedom for everything that they've given to the sport, it might be Dustin Poirier. So wicked happy for him, and eventually his name will be called for the UFC Hall of Fame.
Yeah, 100%, man. And again, this is a guy I've cut weight with, and I'll never forget this. Me just being so exhausted and us in the sauna together, and me taking a peek over at Dustin being like, man, how the hell does he make 145? If he could do it, then I got to be able to do it. We're about the same size, but man, congrats to Dustin either way, man. It's going to be an amazing fight against Holloway.
So where would you guys have been cutting weight? Was that Vancouver?
It was Vancouver. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Cody, maybe you can look up who Dustin Poirier fought.
Was it Vancouver? No, you know what? Was it?
I mean,
maybe.
Did he fight in
October? It was one of them at 145.
Was it the Jose Aldo fight in October of 2011? It could have been that one.
It could have been that one, yeah. I'm trying to think.
He fought, I think, Josh Grisby in January. It was January 1st, 2020. It was January 1st, 2011. New Year's Day, I believe, when Poirier made his UFC debut. Cody, do you have the fucking internet? Can you look up who just go to either UFC 136 or whenever Kenny Florian fought Diego Nunes? Because
it'd be 136 or 131, I think.
He's writing to me. I'm doing it. Jesus Christ. Of Latter-day Saints. All right, well, as Cody's looking that up, let us dive into all that was the UFC Fight Night in Nashville, Tennessee. Headlines brought to you by Cuervo. Now's a good time to enjoy the tequila that invented tequila. Did a lot of media last week on the front end of Nashville, Tennessee, and one thing that I did say to people, KenFlo, was why would you bet against that power? Derek Lewis plus 225 or so. Interesting fight over the 35 seconds. I'm sure you have a lot to say about the stoppage and everything else, but Derek Lewis adding to his robust knockout total, he gets Talisson Teixeira out of there with a TKO due to strikes at the 35-second mark of round one.
He definitely did. You know, he played a little possum there. I don't know if he was exaggerating the eye poke there. It looked like the thumb had gotten to his eye at that point, or if he was genuinely like, oh shit, let me throw a punch here to try to stop Teixeira from trying to knock me out. Either way, he ended up landing a dandy, I believe, a left hook, and put Teixeira down. Followed up with some nasty ground and pound, was all over him. It was a very, very quick fight. And yeah, when the Black Beast is fighting, he's got a chance to knock anyone out, no matter who you are in the heavyweight division. He has that kind of fight-stopping power. Landed it against Teixeira, and yeah, it was Jason Herzog who came in, stopped the fight. And, you know, during those punches, I don't really have a problem with it. But as you saw Teixeira turn around, he looked like he was lucid. He looked like he was, you know, stepping on stable ground and looked like he was in fine shape to continue fighting. But it was the exchange prior to that that was the issue for me. He was taking some big time damage.
There's a lot to unpack here. So when Big John McCarthy was a UFC referee, he was sort of my go-to when I had a question, whether it had to do with the scoring of Carlos Condit versus Robbie Lawler or something rule-related. I would try to get a cup of coffee with John McCarthy. Now my go-to is Sean Sheehan. And if Severe MMA's Sean Sheehan, Kenny, thinks that this is a bad stoppage, then I'm inclined to agree, and I'm trying to find the tweet. But essentially, there was a gratuitous fence grab in the fight-ending sequence by Taliesin Teixeira, right? Then it's a point deduction or a 2-point deduction or a DQ, but I don't think it's a good stoppage, right? Like, here's Sean Sheehan, at Sean Sheehan BA on X. Listen, if you want to argue it was a fence grab and the ref should have taken a point or even 2 points, you have an argument. There's no argument for that stoppage being good or right, none. You can talk about it being a DQ. Jason Herzog's in the top 3 refs in the world, but that was a truly atrocious stoppage, I feel, for Teixeira. Right now, that's how I saw it when it played out. I thought it was a particularly bad stoppage from a historically elite referee. I know there was a fence grab, and so perhaps you can rationalize it in that, and perhaps the outcome was an eventuality. But, yeah, I was not a fan of the stoppage despite Derek Lewis's productivity.
Yeah, I guess Sean definitely is entitled to his opinion, and I think it's a pretty solid one for sure. The only thing I would say is it's a little bit different when it's heavyweights involved. These guys are throwing serious leather. I think if it was a lighter weight class, yeah, it would be even worse. I'm not saying it was a good stoppage necessarily, but Derek Lewis being on top of you with ground and pound, already landed a huge shot. Teixeira, young guy, still has a long career ahead of him. I don't know, man. That was tricky for me, but certainly, again, when the fight was stopped and Teixeira was turned around, he looked like he was fine. So that's a really, really tough one. It's hard when the fighters have their back to you to really assess how much damage they're taking or how lucid they are and right. how with it they are. And I think, Jason Herzog kind of took the safe route, which I think is what a referee should do in that situation. So, yeah, I have mixed feelings on that, John.
Heretofore, though, I think we can all agree on this. If you are fighting Derek Lewis, right, be mindful of some of the tactics, right? This is a man who recently admitted to kneeing a guy in the Johnson on purpose early on in a fight to sort of set the tone or change the complexion of the fight. So whether or not he was playing possum with the eye thing, I don't know. But right. For future heavyweight opponents, you got to be mindful of some of the things that the Black Beast might be doing tactically to try to get you off of your game. So yeah. Derek Lewis would like to make one more concerted run here at the UFC heavyweight title. Now, there is no denying his power, his athleticism, his accuracy, his ability to find the fight-ending shots. Seemingly, he's sick of sort of, being the league leader in body fat in the division, so he's leaned up a little bit. He is on the other side of 40. What are your thoughts on Derek Lewis in terms of what might be next and how far he could actually take this thing at this stage of his UFC career?
Whenever you even begin to think that, Derek Lewis isn't going to be a big threat in the division, or when you kind of forget about him a little bit, he tends to come in and remind everybody what he's about and that he can knock out anybody in the division. And he did just that against a guy who I thought was a promising star in that division. Teixeira has looked phenomenal in his couple of fights in the UFC so far. Yes, it's still early, but when you see a guy 6'7" with that kind of background, that kind of athleticism, you think he's going to do big things. And Derek Lewis knocking him out, I think, was a huge win for him. I think it keeps him relevant. People still want to see him. He's still entertaining in the cage. Of course, on the mic with that post-fight interview, continues to entertain. And yeah, man, I mean, he's going to continue to make a lot of money in the UFC, man. And it's great to see.
North of 7 figures to show, and the fans keep coming out. And I think it's like the 11th or 12th time that he has headlined for the UFC, if you count the title fight against Daniel Cormier. And then I think like 11 UFC fight nights for the Black Beast, Derek Lewis. He is a man. He is 40. And this stat has been ubiquitously populated across social media. and MMA Twitter, as some youngsters like to say. Brazilian fighters 0-9 or 0-10 in UFC main events in 2025. Now, you can say much ado about nothing. Alexandre Pantoja is like, hold my fucking joint, okay? You know? But Renato Moicano against Islam Makhachev. Gregory Robocop Rodriguez in February against Jared Cannonier. Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev at UFC 313 in March. Diego Lopez against Alexander Volkanovski at UFC 314 in April in Miami. Carlos Prates in Kansas City against Ian Machado Gary. Davison Figueiredo lost to Corey Sandhagen in Des Moines, Iowa. Gilbert Durinho Burns lost to Michael Morales. Charles Oliveira lost to Ilia Topuria, and now Taliesin Teixeira lost to Derek Lewis. Bro. Why didn't somebody say anything when it was 0-8 going into this main event? Or maybe they did, okay? To Lillian Caparrós, our wonderful PR woman, Brazilian woman with the UFC. I wonder if that is lost on her and some of these other people. Bro, KenFlo, I just bought a Brazilian flag welcome mat. I love Brazil. I've been there 29 times. This is a bad number. I mean, it tells me two things, Kenny. It tells me Brazilians have headlined a lot in the UFC this year.
Yes.
And it also tells me they have not done very well.
Yeah, that's crazy stat. I hadn't heard that. I hadn't seen that. It makes sense now. I think if you're a Brazilian fighter, do not accept any main events, guys. Please. The co-main, maybe. But that's it. That is it. Yeah, there's always these weird trends that happen in the sport. And you're like, what is going on? What's happening? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really think it means much, but my goodness, that was just crazy going through it this morning. And indeed, it was facts. All right, let us get into some other stuff. UFC Fight Night, Lewis versus Teixeira. So Ray Longo coming up in 4 minutes, by the way. Gabriel Bonfim over Stephen Wonderboy Thompson by split decision, the co-main event. What a heck of a fight, KenFlo. I mean, it was a great fight. Could have gone either way. A lot of people felt like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson deserved the decision. Certainly showed you a lot of mettle and toughness. And as his family member and the great former middleweight champion Chris Weidman said, as soon as his shin was split to the bone, he started throwing that thing even harder with more miles per hour.
He did, man. Wonder Boy is one of those guys. Again, do not judge a book by its cover.
Yes,
he's this good-looking kid. You see, like, okay, sure, he's skillful and he's talented, all this stuff. But what happens if he gets hurt? The dude is tough as nails. He's willing to die in the octagon, and that was just another example. Of course, you go back, you could watch the Woodley fights or any of the fights after that where he showed his toughness, but. Man, that was wild. I did think he won that fight, John. I thought the most significant strike of that fight was that kick that he threw to the head of Bonfim, and he was certainly rocked. Other than that, it really was kind of them kind of tangling in the clinch, not a whole lot going on, kind of chippy strikes back and forth. It wasn't like the volume of Bonfim was that overwhelming where you're like, Bonfim did it with volume, or he did it with the pressure of backing Wonderboy up, and he really pressed Wonderboy's back up against that cage. Like, that was not more significant than that kick upstairs. So for me, I would have had Wonderboy winning. Either way, it was a fantastic fight. Kudos to Bonfim for eating a lot of those shots. That was not the only time he got hurt in that fight.
Yeah.
I thought it was Bonfim round 1 and Wonderboy round 2 and 3 is how I scored it. But man, what a fight, back and forth. How about that cut, dude? You could have put some change in that little cut he had in his chin, huh?
Yeah.
That was nasty.
I don't know if people still use silver coins, but yeah, you could put your change right in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had it the same way for Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. And when Bonfim is clinching in the third round and the commentators sort of say, Stephen Thompson, you got to be careful. You don't want to end up here. You're going to lose the round. I'm thinking like, well, no, but like, yes, right? Like, no, because it's an effective striking round. There isn't really anything appreciable going on in the grappling. So I think the commentary is correct in some part, but what they're really trying to say is that you don't want to risk spending 90 seconds here. But I think the messaging that needs to go to the audience really is, and I'm not trying to criticize the commentary, but that it's an effective striking round. Yes. And you can't just like survive and like run clock late and all of a sudden make it an effective grappling round just because there's maybe a somewhat significant amount of time, 28% of the round. So 100%. Yeah, I thought, and when the old guys lose, it's sort of like, oh man, they won. Like they should win.
I know. That was so close, man. That one's going to hurt. But Wonder Boy's still the man, dude. To see him fighting at this high level, still top 12 in that stacked welterweight division is impressive as hell. He's still going to have a legendary career, and it's just great to see him go out there and compete extremely well at that age.
And you know who else has heart? Gabriel Bonfim, right? Was hurt in this fight, and another guy who has shown you his mettle every step of the way. And I oftentimes say this, but Bilal Muhammad back in the day when he wasn't a champion, I think before the Gilbert Burns fight, he was asked about the most dangerous guys going forward. He said Ian Machado Gary and Gabriel Bonfim as two of the young guys, and Bonfim isn't necessarily there yet. But, he gets the green stripe on the Wikipedia page, and a huge win for him over WB. I'm sure Longo has thoughts on that in about 60 seconds. But real quickly, anyone who knows me knows I got major issues when it comes to sweating. Perhaps your situation out there is not as extreme, but if you have been struggling with the heat and humidity or you sweat a lot, great news. MANDO has just launched something that takes sweat control to the next level. Introducing the MANDO Deodorant Plus Sweat Control Solid Stick. Double protection. Finally, you get the odor control you love with MANDO, plus powerful sweat control as well. Don't wait. Grab yours now. Shop at MANDO. ShopMando.com and experience the double protection of MANDO deodorant plus sweat control. Not your typical deodorant, folks. Clinical strength, 2 times better at controlling sweat than the standard. It controls both sweat and odor for 72 hours. You stop odor before it starts, and after just 12 hours, underarm sweat has proven to have been reduced by 92%. Mando's the real deal. I use the products. You can put Mando anywhere. Pits, packages, feet, skin folds, back, knees, everywhere. And how about these body deodorant wipes? Yes, my pack is empty. It's my favorite Mando product. I travel with them on the road. And right now we got a special offer for new customers. Get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code and link. Use code AFPOD at shopmando.com, shopmando.com, shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. All right, let us get to the star of the program. It's time for the Ray Longo Minute.
It's now time for the Ray Longo Minute.
I want you to punch a hole in his fucking chest. That's what I want.
The Ray Longo Minute. Starring Ray Longo. The Jon Anik and Kenny Florian podcast.
Look at him. Look at the motherfucker. That's what I'm talking.
He is not in Azerbaijan. He is not in China. He is in New York.
Wow.
Good to see you,
Ray. Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Do the back of your knees actually smell?
So that's not a trouble area for me, but
Okay,
I
just
do
curious.
use these Mando deodorant wipes on other places. Packages, pits, things like that. But back of my knees, my feet, no.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Any further questions, Your Honor?
Because I got a spot on my forearm. Woo!
Ha!
I need that Mando.
Hey,
I don't know what
it's nice
that's
to
about.
see you. So,
Same here. Nice to see you. Wait,
what
what is my screen is very small. I can barely see you guys. Is there anything I could do? Oh, there it is. Sorry about that. I got it. There we go.
So
look at those guys. Yeah,
what did
Kenny.
you do last Monday without the show? Do you remember?
What was that? 4th of July?
It was July 7th. Yeah, the Monday after the 4th of July weekend.
I'm sure I did whatever the hell I always do. Same thing.
All right.
My routine doesn't change much, John. I got a very boring life at this point.
Kenny, what did you do without the Anik and Florian podcast last week? Did you just do some more practical shooting or something?
I did. Well, I did some of that. Yeah. Let's see. I went down to the beach in South Carolina, hung out with the family. Saw some fireworks. I didn't get a chance to go to the beach, but you definitely enjoyed some hot weather.
Nice.
Yeah.
So my dad's favorite movie was Spaceballs. Have you guys seen the movie Spaceballs?
Yes.
Yes.
I know a lot of our audience is like, what? No, I'm 16. Anyway, So there's a Spaceballs 2 coming out.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I heard.
And
No
these sort of
way.
like spoof like movies, right? So that brings me to the Naked Gun, right?
Oh.
Leslie Nielsen, may he rest in peace.
Oh,
Certifiable
the man.
genius as a
Yes.
comic actor, right? I mean, and for Liam Neeson now in this Naked Gun remake, all the best, right? In trying to capture some of that, right? Ray, everything okay with your top piece there?
My hair is out of control.
You got to go to Turkey.
I'm getting it cut today. Yeah, I'm going to Turkey. Trust me.
Are you?
Kenny, how we doing with that, Kenny? How did it work out? Good?
Head's a little itchy. I finally got a chance to cut my hair, so I got like shorter hair,
Ooh.
But
Oh,
it's
yeah.
starting to like there's a phase where it starts to fall out. So all that hair, you're like, it's back. That's great. It's starting to grow. It falls out and then
Wow.
it regrows. So
All right.
I'm like, it starts growing back in about 3 months. And enough about my head for people.
All right. I'm just curious. You got
Yeah.
to keep me in the loop on that. I'm
Yes,
going.
I will. I'll keep you posted.
Yeah. I mean, Ray, you know what I say. When your hair's all over the place, you look like you've been fucking living on a bus in Alaska eating poisonous plants. Every time. That line just works every time. Right?
John, it's getting bad.
I
But even
love
when
it.
you asked me what I did last Monday, I actually have no clue. I can't
Yeah,
even go back that far.
Yeah, I don't know if it was Lil Wayne who said he can't remember any of his songs, but that's like me trying to remember like a Lucas Dresky fight for this weekend. I'm like, what, dude? Like he's 6'7". Why can't you remember? Anyway, the Naked Gun remake, right?
Yes.
I play myself in the movie, and I'm gonna get the chance to take my daughter Riley to the premiere in New York City on July 28th, which is very exciting, right?
That is awesome.
I love it.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to stop down there because I don't know what I can or can't say, but it's very exciting, and we'll
That's
see
awesome.
the extent to which Michael Bisping and I, some of our lines have been cut. We have been told, but that's okay.
I tell you, as long as you got lines, yeah, that's great, John.
Initially we were
sure.
Chet and Bob, and then the great director Akiva Schaffer came to us one day and he said, I think it would actually be more authentic if you were Jon Anik and Michael Bisping. So they took the names Chet and Bob off our trailers, and there 2-4, we played ourselves. Anyway, enough about that.
Chet and Bob would have been funny too, though.
I know, but there's not like we're calling ourselves Chet and Bob all that often,
Oh, I got you. Right.
Yeah, I do think Chet and Bob would have been pretty hilarious.
Who was
Yeah,
Chet?
he was Chet. He was Chet.
Oh, he was Chet?
So was he going to have an American accent, or what? Like, how is he going to?
No, he. Oh, right. Yeah, the Chet. Right. Yeah.
It sounds like a very American name. Okay,
yeah. And the third member of our broadcast team is Wilbur Fitzgerald. I don't know if you know him, but he was an Anchorman too. Had a scene with Will Ferrell and is a very good actor in his own right. All right, Raymond, lot to talk about, right? We opened the show talking about Ben Askren. I mean, who just had the entire heart of this MMA community in full force behind him. Just crazy to see sort of one of our own who did seemingly everything right in so many respects when it comes to his health, dealing with something like this.
I tell you what, an unfortunate situation. But man, I can't say I know Ben, but I mean, he's always just had humility, and he was always a humble guy. Was able to laugh at himself, and I thought he was just from the outskirts, like without knowing him. I just thought he was a great guy. I loved, even no matter what you thought about him fighting, or however the fight went, he always gave you a really honest, heartfelt explanation of what he thought was going on. And I'll always, that's what I think about when I think about the guy. And then when you hear him talk about wrestling, obviously, he's on another level. He's got that down to a science. He does a great job with the kids. But even when he would talk about his fighting, man, he just, I think that's a good dude, man. Without knowing him, that's my assessment. I think he's
and it's a great assessment, and I'm so glad you added that to the conversation because, yes, self-deprecating, able to just be so comfortable in his own skin in terms of who he is, right? Real article, what you see is what you get. Yeah, Askren's the man. All right, so any thoughts on the UFC fight night? I kind of want to get your thoughts on Stephen Thompson. We can get to Derek Lewis in a minute, but I know you're close to WB and to Ray, and a lot of people thought he won the fight, certainly fought valiantly. Any thoughts on the co-main event?
100% won the fight. I think easy fight to score. You know what the problem is? I haven't, again, it's conspiratorial, but if Stephen was 34 years old and he was on the come up, he's winning that fight. They give it to him. That's my honest belief. It's almost like Pimblett against Jared Gordon. I mean, the guy went in the third round trying not to fight, not even to try to take him down. And the only damage in the third round, I believe, was done by Wonderboy Thompson, and that's why he wins that fight. If you go on damage, he's the guy with the damage. The other guy just they fucked that up. I'm not saying complete robbery, but it's a robbery based on the criteria. He did the damage. The other guy went out there not to fight, and I don't know how you give that guy the fight. I just don't know how.
Yeah, I was a little confused by it, but Ray, do you think Wonder Boy can still? I mean, based on that performance, do you think he could still fight at the elite level? Would you want to see more of him?
I think. Look, I'm going to keep it in perspective. How old is Wonder Boy now? 41, 42? Well, I think he's. How old is he, John? Do you have
somewhere around there? I'll look at it for you.
I think it's fantastic what he's doing, and he proves he can compete at that level. I mean, but if you're a promotion, Kenny, is that the guy you want to put? You want to put all your eggs in that basket. So by the time he gets a title shot, he's 47. But as far as a human interest story, he's absolutely phenomenal. And for a guy 41, 42 years old, yeah, he looked fucking pretty good, man. He looked really good in that fight.
He's going to be 42 in February, right? Like, he's still wicked competitive. I think he has 1 fight left on his contract, but
I mean, he rocked that guy. I mean, he put that guy on skates, and that's an up and coming big strong kid
dude
who got momentum on his side. He lost that fight. How did that fight benefit Bonfim? Like, we could talk about how it benefited Thompson. He's 42. What a performance. Put him on ice skates a little bit there in the second round. I don't know. Takedown defense held up pretty good. He wasn't acquiescing when he hit the floor. He was still fighting his way back up. His shin gets busted open, which isn't a pleasant injury when your shin splits like that.
Yeah.
He's still kicking with it. That guy won the fight, hands down. I think it's almost disgraceful. And I'm not going to disgraceful in that way, but come on, man. He did what he had to do to win that fight.
Yeah, sorry, and just Ken. Sorry. Go ahead, John.
No, I was just going to say the value for Bonfim, I think, is that he got hurt and fought through it and is able to learn and somehow escape with a win that maybe some didn't think he deserved. That's all.
Right, yeah, I'll go with that.
And before John jumps right back in with a question for you, Ray, I guess the other thing he's got to watch out for, too, is now with that cut, just similar to Luke Rockhold, is a staph infection, because that thing is so opened up. He was kicking the body, the sweaty, dirty body of Bonfim repeatedly after all, again, at the end of the night, after all those fighters have been in there in the cage. He really has to be careful, make sure that doesn't turn into a massive staph infection. So he's not out of the weeds yet.
Yeah, 1,000,000%, Kenny. And I've seen that injury a lot. It's way more wicked than it even looked like on TV. It's hard. They're hard to heal, those things. And he's got to really, really, really be careful.
Ray, I was just going to say, and sort of putting a bow on the scoring, and I wouldn't necessarily pin the word robbery upon it, right? I only select that for a few a year, but like Dave Torelli and Mike Bell, who have more experience, I believe, than Rick Winter, were the two judges who gave Gabriel Bonfim the third round, and then Rick Winter gave round 3 for Wonderboy Thompson. And in terms of damage and everything I understand scoring to be, Gabriel Bonfim cannot steal the round by running clock for 90 seconds at the end and not really doing a whole lot in the clinch, right? And yet here we have experienced judges, giving him that scorecard. And then you mentioned sort of the youth. So are you suggesting that maybe, what does that even mean? It's almost like saying to be the champion, you got to beat the champion. What does it matter if Wonderboy has white hair or yellow hair?
I don't know. Well, that part I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but I'm just saying that's what running through my mind. I'm just saying it's always the guy that's on the come up that's going to get those decisions. It's almost like a hometown decision, which I used to have no problem.
Because it's better for the UFC if Bonfim wins.
Without a doubt.
Right.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Same thing with Pimblett against Jared Gordon, right? Well, Pimblett was the guy, so Jared won that fight. I know we talked about that a bunch of times.
Right.
But, that's the way I look at it. Like, I'm going to say 9 out of 10 times the guy that's on the come up is going to get that nod because that they feel like that's the better. Well, I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like again,
Yeah.
it's the
No,
better.
I mean, hey.
Like what was better for the UFC? Who win that fight? And of
Right.
course,
Right.
you
No, I
can't
understand.
prove anything. So
Of
I'm
course.
sounding like an idiot, but I'm just saying that's the way I look at it. You know what I mean?
No, and maybe in 25 years, judges and referees will defend themselves, right? And it would be as simple as Mike Bell just issuing a statement as to why he thought Bonfim did enough with the effective grappling or whatever it was in round 3. Just a simple statement after the fight from Mike Bell and Dave Torelli acknowledging the scorecard, and then we move on.
Yeah, and again,
1,000,000%. And I love Torelli. He's a great guy.
Yeah, he is a great guy.
I'm not even
So is
I'm
Mike
not
Bell.
even ragging on him. I just think, yeah, give us maybe it'll help us out. Maybe I missed something. You know, I'm not like sitting there watching the fights like a judge. I'm having a good time. I'm running around,
the position of the judges is critical. And even if they're watching on the monitors, even that isn't foolproof either, because if the fighters have their backs to you and he throws that kick, you could easily think that, oh, Bonfim just blocked that kick, just kept walking forward, where, I don't know. So it's tricky, man. It's a tough sport to judge sometimes.
I mean, if I was getting married this weekend, Jason Herzog is invited and hopefully would attend. But why can't I book him on the Anik and Florian podcast and talk about that atrocious fucking stoppage, Jay? No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I mean,
I think the best part is that guy had his hand was the size of Jason's head. Did you see him when he had his hand on his head?
Yeah, he tried to push him away. Yeah,
it looked like it was crazy.
Yeah,
that was an early stoppage though, but a great fight for Derek Lewis, and the guy did grab the fence trying to get up. So
yeah,
I thought he was stopping it to take a point away. To be honest with you,
right,
that's
or take 2 points away.
Oh,
you can take 2. Yeah,
because he was purposely using that as a ladder to get up.
All right, so let us transition, and Kenny, you can lead us here on Mean Machine Steve Garcia. And, my brother texted me, and Jason Anik will be here in 15 minutes. Like, was anyone going to let me know how big Steve Garcia is for the featherweight division? I mean, he looked enormous. I've called a lot of his fights, and the evolution of this athlete dating to his UFC debut, Kenny, has been marked. How about fucking Mean Machine Steve Garcia, KenFlo?
Well, first of all, Calvin Kattar is a massive featherweight, and he made Calvin look tiny. And I actually I had to look at the lower part of the monitor and be like, wait, are they fighting at lightweight? How big is Steve Garcia? My goodness. I was just thinking about that. But yeah, they fought at featherweight, and yeah, Garcia is massive. And yes, he is a very good fighter who knows how to pressure behind the jab, more importantly, and took Kattar just out of the fight. Kattar tried everything he could, but he wasn't active enough. And I think a lot of that had to do with the pressure of Garcia and all the different things he was throwing his way. But Garcia is the real deal. Again, proves himself to me, and the consistency that he's shown. Didn't get a 6 knockout in a row, but it was almost as impressive as some of the knockouts that he's done, just because to make Kattar that ineffective, I think it is impressive, and it's a testament to his level of skill and confidence right now.
Yeah, no, that was a great fight. That was a fight that Kattar would normally welcome. You know what I mean? That's a tailor-made guy coming forward. He's not going to run around. He's not looking for takedowns. They're just going to bang it out. But Garcia, he's got a wicked left hand. He's got lead in that hand because he has knocked a shitload of people out, and he knocked Kattar down with it. So he kind of reminds me of I'm not saying this in a bad way, but a sophisticated version of Chris Lieben. Lieben had that left hand. He was just winding up. This guy's a little more sophisticated. Like Kenny said, he fights behind the jab. Nice. He's got the good forward pressure. But they both throw that left hand like the same way. They know there's something special in it. And when it hits, it normally does damage. So great fight for Garcia. And it's good to see Jackson and Wink back in there with a guy, on the come up. I just ran into Craig Jackson in Jersey a couple of weeks ago. So they're like old school. I'd like to see it, man. I like to see the old school
Greg's
guys.
a good dude, man.
Yeah,
well, you can tell
nice people. Yeah.
How, KenFlo and Greg Jackson are tight. You can tell how well coached Steve Garcia is, and I believe that's his father in the corner as well.
Wow. Oh, wow.
And Ray, you're on fire today, though. I see that Chris Lieben silhouette like immediately as you say that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just it
I don't
seems
know.
like
That's
the
taped to my
head, and
mind. Yeah.
yes, 100%.
Yeah.
So for Calvin Kattar, right? And I was going back and forth, just texting with my twin brother. Credit versus blame, right? Like obviously buckets of credit to Steve Garcia, who I think has won 5 or 6 in a row now, and a lot of big fights potentially for him now that he will be a ranked fighter, but this was a 0 for Kattar in a lot of respects, Ray. I mean, there was no offense here, and I don't know. I just wanted to get some thoughts on the other side because this was certainly an underwhelming effort from Calvin Kattar, and I think his next UFC fight is going to be of the most urgent variety after what we saw Saturday night.
Yeah, whether it's urgent or not, it's, where do you go even if you win the next fight? Like, it's just going to be hard to climb all the way back up to where he was at one point. Definitely one of my favorite fighters. Loved his boxing, heavy style approach. But, like, I think they gave him a guy that, and I'm saying Garcia is really good, but if they gave him a guy, like, again, that wasn't, like Aljo would take him down. He's going to always take him down. Like, that's a nightmare for Kattar.
Right.
You can't even get any offense off because the guy's putting you on your ass. But this guy stood in front of him and came forward, and that's the type of guy that Kattar should do really well against, and
Right.
It didn't go his way. So that to me is more the problem. Is like, what else do you want? Like, now we don't have, you don't even have to worry about any kicks. You know what I mean? Technically, but yeah, I think once you start sliding back and you cross over that threshold, it's just hard to come back, man. He's been around for a long time. Think of the fights he's had,
Right.
And I will say this to Kattar's credit. Even up to the last minute, I did think there was always a chance he could land that right. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't that bad where, he has to be more active. He's just not, he's for whatever the reason is, I think he's hesitating just a split second, and that for him is like 2 hours.
Kenny, it's 5 straight losses for Kattar, all against elite competition. Josh Emmett, Arnold Allen, Aljamain Sterling, Yusuf Zalal, Steve Garcia. But a lot of those are decisions, right?
Mhm.
And just the inability to go for it for whatever reason, right? Really, since that Max Holloway fight that's immortalized behind me, just hasn't been the same guy for one reason or another.
Yeah, you wonder if is it a style thing? Is it, the fact that he's taken a lot of damage, he's getting older? I don't know. He's still moving really well. I think a lot of it also was he telegraphs a lot of the shots. So even when he was throwing shots and trying to get back into that fight, and he did land a couple here and there against Garcia, but he was telegraphing with a lot of big punches. And anytime, the same thing when you grapple, when you offer, when you throw a lot of big stuff, you offer a lot of big space, and you could see it coming. And Garcia was just moving in and ducking it, seeing it coming and countering. And it just seemed like everything was just kind of wrong for Kattar for the most part. So really never generated any momentum. And I definitely think it also comes down to the lack of volume. He's not throwing enough. It seems like he's looking for the perfect punches, and then now he's behind the 8 ball and now needs to throw these big punches, and now those aren't landing. So it just becomes this kind of snowball rolling down the mountain that gets worse and worse and worse. So unfortunately, it's either going to take a complete reset and time away from the sport to kind of rebuild, or kind of figuring out, what's going on. Is he heading in there with a lot of injuries? There's a lot of things that could be the issue, but Kattar is a great dude. Obviously, he's from our area. You want to see him do well. Still one of the toughest dudes in the sport. But 5 fights in a row, he can't have too many more of those.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I think it actually correlates to age too, right? He's getting older. You're not the guy you were at 32. And for his style of fighting, that's a young man's style of fighting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the
Good
other
point.
problem. He doesn't have, like, if he had a complete, I'm not saying he doesn't, but if he had a complete skill set where he could have put Steve Garcia on his ass a couple of times with some takedowns, he could have slowed down the fight, maybe changed the rhythm of the fight. But he only knows that one thing. And now, at 37, you got to realize you can't be training like you were at 32. You start taking shortcuts, and it just starts to snowball. And, these guys that are coming up and they have momentum and they're younger and bigger and quicker, it's just going to be a problem. I mean, like, again, if he had takedowns, right, if he had some submissions, something that people were maybe afraid of, that they wouldn't be that, entitled to step in like that, I think it would make a big difference. But they know what they're getting.
And he's in a tough spot too, because, and it's weird saying this as he fought a massive featherweight in Garcia, but maybe at 37 years old, that 145, that cut down to 145 is getting old and being taking its toll on his body. And maybe he needs to go up to 155. And the problem in fighting at 155, that division doesn't get any easier. So he's in a tough spot right now, man.
So the story, of course, though, is Steve Garcia. And I love, as he spun it forward, he talked about headlining a UFC Apex card, right? An attainable goal. I think it makes a lot of sense to try to headline, to just see where you're at, if indeed it does go 5 rounds. There are a lot of big featherweight fights coming up, of course. We have this weekend Dan Ige fighting Patricio Pitbull. We have Movsar Evloev and Aaron Pico July 26th. Diego Lopez, Jean Silva, September 13th for Noche UFC. Of course, you got Ray Longo, Aljamain Sterling taking on Brian Ortega August 23rd. You got your flight to China yet or what?
No, actually.
God.
Actually,
I mean, really, Aljo? You got to go to China?
Yeah, no. That's what they did. That's like
can't fight. In,
you know what they think of you. You know what they think of you when they say, "Yeah, we got you a fight finally. It's in the gulag." Yeah, right. Okay, let's. Yeah, you're going to the gulag, Aljo, to fight another guy that they're sending to the gulag to fight. And the cards and the main event is Johnny
UFC Nepal. Yes.
UFC Alaska. You're in luck.
Yeah. Your headliner, Johnny Walker and Zhang Mingyang, and then Aljo and T-City in the co-main. That might just be because Ortega maybe didn't want to go 5. Who knows? You never know.
See, Aljo's tricky, man, moving up, because Aljo's he's got a complete skill set, and he's intelligent. He knows how to fight within himself. That's why he's doing really. He's going to continue to do well.
No, I agree.
He stays in shape. I mean, he does.
Mentally,
like
though, he's becoming like a mental giant.
He is. He's really technically sound, and again, he knows Aljo better than anybody, and he knows how to make that work, and that's the beauty of him. And I think, to me, the guy's he might
dark
be
horse
better. Yeah, 100%.
No, he's got a style built to last. Yeah,
100%. He's got a style built to last. I don't think they're going to let him be the dark horse, but
right. They're not giving him Steve Garcia and a headliner at the Apex. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, right. They don't want to take no chances.
Get your fucking Jan sport going on Steve Garcia, not what the UFC's looking for right now. They like strikers, right? Knockout artists, right? All right. We have a few more minutes with Ray Longo. I would like to get your thoughts on Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway this weekend. Dustin Poirier is a slight underdog right now. I sort of feel like if any athletes are going to be able to intangibly rise above any pressure, it's these two, whether it's Poirier's last walk in Louisiana or Holloway dealing with the reality of going 0-3 against Volkanovski and 0-3 against Dustin Poirier. I just think these guys, not to quote myself recently, but mental giants who are going to rise to the occasion. I think it's going to be a great fight for as long as it lasts.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a fight I'm really looking forward to because we've seen it before, but it is. You put it pretty well, though. They're both going to go out and fight. There's no question about that. I don't care where these guys are at in their career. They're gonna go out and fight, and I'm sure Dustin fighting in front of his hometown has got to be exciting as hell to go out on that. So, I am looking forward to it. But I think when Holloway fought Gaethje, it was a little different because they never fought before. You know what I mean? And but this one is was this the third time they're fighting, right?
Yeah, they fought for the. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry.
I would say I would generally agree with you there, Ray. I do think though they're different fighters since the second time that they fought. I think the first time they were both kind of early, 23 and 20 years old. They fought still a little while ago. I think they're different fighters. I think they've shown that they are better. They're more technical. They're wiser. And those are guys that are always getting better. So for me, I still kind of have that level of excitement here because I kind of know who I'm going to pick here, but it's a pick 'em fight, man. These guys always deliver, and two legends going at it always makes it exciting for me.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I don't know.
All right, Ray.
Who
Before
are
we
you
let
picking
you
in that
go.
fight? Wait, who? Oh no.
I can't say it. Can't say it yet. I can't
Oh,
spoil
you can't
it.
say.
I can't spoil it, Ray.
He's gonna. I will predict that he is going to predict Max Holloway, and he's going to make that prediction later in the program. We'll see.
Wow.
Who are you going to predict? Because we only have
that's more important.
What was Holloway's last fight?
Ilia Topuria last October, I believe.
That's the problem. Man, I tell you,
that might be the solution, though, right?
Yeah.
People say you got a gambling problem. I say no, I got a gambling solution to your problem.
And Dustin's last was against Islam Makhachev. So both coming off losses.
But he fought really well in that, except for the right. He did fight pretty. I'm going with Dustin Poirier in that.
Okay.
I love Holloway. I'm just doing that for the show. I don't really like again.
Okay. Well, no, we appreciate that. Yeah. All right. Before we let you go, would you rather wear a helmet or gloves always? I would say helmet. Cover up that fucking lettuce.
Nah, let that shit go wild. I'm wearing gloves.
Okay, yeah, you don't want to wear a helmet all the time.
All right. Hopefully, those latex gloves where people feel safe around me.
I like you're burying bodies
to strap
somewhere.
Those things on as I'm going into the bedroom.
Burying bodies all the time. Yeah.
No, as I'm going into the bedroom, I like to put those gloves on.
Yeah.
It's always enticing for the ladies.
Yeah. Ladies plural or just lady? Anyway, Ray was a big latex gloves guy during COVID, I heard as well. Yeah. Ray, would you rather have your name tattooed on your forehead or have no front teeth?
The fuck is the matter with
you're forced to choose. It's not the matter with me. Are you getting Raymond tattooed on your forehead, or are we knocking out your front teeth?
I'll get Raymond tattooed.
That's what I would do. Would you rather share a bed with a walrus or an eel?
What the hell?
Oh, all I could say is cuckoo ka-choo. I am a walrus.
And our last one for today, Ray. Would you rather live in a world where you dance instead of walk or sing instead of talk?
Oh, wow.
So you'd have to dance to the gym or
thoughtful.
sing while you're
I'm singing. That's what I do anyway. I'm singing the whole day.
All right. Have a great day. And
that's it. We're done.
Well, anything else you got for us? I mean, anything else you want to wet your beak on? UFC 318.
How do you like your new environment?
I didn't think that I would love being back in New England as much as I do. I think that there might be some recency bias there, but being out of the gated community in Florida, going over 4 speed bumps every time to go home, and just every day waking up to the same weather, I'm enjoying things so far. Talk to me in 6 months.
We had to throw in that gated community.
I threw it out there as a negative. Most
he was saying
Florida is actually gated communities.
Don't get sensitive, mister. I'd rather do this or that, or would you rather? All right, that's enough. Listen, dinner's on me in the city anytime you want.
Ray, would you rather have to be naked at work for an hour?
Definitely not. No.
Okay. All right.
I'll take the other one.
All right. Thank you, Ray.
See you, Ray.
Take it easy, guys.
Ray Longo Minute every week here on the Anik and Florian podcast. And you know what it is this weekend. Something special is about to go down in the boot. The Big Easy UFC 318 is coming to Nolans. It's absolutely stacked. And DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the UFC, has all the action you need. Holloway Poirier 3 is your headliner. It marks the 32nd and final time Poirier steps into the octagon. Good time to get on DraftKings, and if you are new to DraftKings Sportsbook, check this out. New customers who bet $5 will get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Just download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code AFPOD. That's code AFPOD for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward, minimum -500 odds required. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. All right, now with us on the guest line, the man with whom I shared the womb at Boston Anik on social media, Jason Anik, dirty boxing commentator, host of Remember the Show. It's good to see you, man. I miss you. What's going on?
What's up, guys? Hey, where are you getting those would you rathers from?
Don't worry about it, sweetheart. All over the place. All over.
Because those
all over. You like them?
Well, yeah, a lot. I think we started doing that on Anik versus Anik. Most of them were coming from Men's Health. These are next level. I'm dying. You know, it'd be nice for Flo to get to answer some because
yeah, okay.
I'm good. Right. I'm good.
Kenny,
it'll pass.
Kenny,
hard pass. Yeah. What do you got?
Would you rather cows be purple or cats be huge?
Oh, wow. God. Dude, cats being huge is dangerous. I mean, they are phenomenal hunters. Purple cows would be entertaining. My daughter loves purple, so that would be fun.
Yeah, well, that actually wasn't a good one because it didn't involve, something in you personally. But some of these
he gives me nice ones. He gives me nice ones. He gives me softballs. He gives
Ray
all the difficult
ones. When we were in Vegas, Big Ron, we were up high in the Fountain Blue, and he said, would you rather jump down from the 31st floor onto a huge pillow, huge, safe jump, or go down 1 mile per hour in the window washer device?
Oh gosh,
I'll go down in the window washer device.
Oh no,
1 mile an hour, right?
No.
Yeah, but how long does that take?
Well,
can we go 2 miles an hour? Jesus Christ!
Well, it's like you're experiencing that fear for long periods of time where you jump and you're just like, yeah, and then you just land and you're
exactly
fine, right? Yeah. So like, I think I might take the pillow. Both are like horrifying to me because I don't like heights, but
yeah, nor I.
Yeah.
Anyway, I know a lot of our viewership doesn't like that, but shout out Big Ron Betts. I like the backdrop there, John. Calvin
KenFlo.
Just,
Would you rather have an abnormally big toe or an abnormally big ear?
I think I have both of those. Let's see. I guess a big toe, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, Jay, you're not coming to New Orleans this weekend for UFC 318 as yet. What do we need to do to get you live on the air to commit to either drive the 11 hours from South Florida to New Orleans or to book a flight?
I feel as though I'm doing Dustin Poirier a great disservice if I don't come, and if you're asking me for a pick on the fight.
Right, he wants you there, he said.
I won't even break down the fight, but I love Dustin Poirier. I mean, like, did you see the shape he was in like 6 weeks ago? I mean, I tell you right now, you think he wants it? I would only like him maybe slightly more if he was competing in Lafayette, instead of New Orleans. So, man, I'm just excited for him. So maybe it should have motivated me already, but a lot of moving parts.
Yeah. So, KenFlo, in terms of fighting in Louisiana, and it's a lot different, right, than maybe your personal experience of fighting Gray Maynard, stylistically really challenging, title eliminator in Boston.
Yes.
There were a lot of different factors, right, to that week for you. But what is Dustin Poirier dealing with exactly? And I will just sort of add that I just think he will be forged as opposed to phased.
Yeah, it can go a lot of different ways. Of course, he's dealing with the two major things, which is going into this fight, knowing it's going to be his last fight. It's his retirement fight. So there's just a lot of emotions heading into that. And then, of course, fighting in your backyard or in your home state. That's going to be interesting. You could put a lot of pressure on yourself. But this is a guy, Dustin Poirier, who has been in some high pressure situations. I don't think this is going to get to him. I do think this is going to be one of those things that helps to forge him, especially as he experiences those inevitably difficult moments in that fight. He has proven to be a guy that does not get overwhelmed through immense pressure. He responds extremely well, and I think this will be another one of those situations.
I wanted to get your collective thoughts on this. A lot of times people will say your next fight is your biggest fight, only as good as your last performance. Every fight in the UFC is a must win, right? In terms of Max Holloway and all of this, Jay, I just don't feel like there's much to lose here. I mean, sure, he could get knocked out with a Poirier left hook like 30 seconds in, and that would be less than ideal, right? But for Max Holloway, his next fight, seemingly at lightweight, is going to be absolutely massive. Some sort of title eliminator or potentially a title fight against Topuria or the Topuria Pimblett or Topuria Sarukyan winner, right? Like, I don't see much downside for Max Holloway, Jay, win or lose, as crazy as that sounds, because I am so confident that he is going to perform well.
Well, and if anyone could afford to be on the other side of a horrible highlight, what he did to Justin Gaethje, right? He could afford to offset that with another one like that. I couldn't agree more. And I feel as though these guys are uniquely positioned, right? You could say similar about Dustin Poirier. A lot of it's sort of been gravy with a lot of these appearances. How much do you have to lose even when you're fighting Conor McGregor at times for Dustin Poirier? But what I'll say, these guys fighting for a third time, they're all so unique, right? 6 years apart or 7 years apart, now 6 years apart, right? So whatever happened 7 years ago for that interim belt, right? It's so unique. And, if I'm Max Holloway, I lost my debut. I lost that interim belt there to Poirier. Like, that stings. Like, I think this is a great opportunity for him to sort of avenge both of those. I think it's enormous for him. And, I'm a broken record, but Dustin Poirier values his interim belt tremendously, always has. Justin Gaethje drops it on the ground next to him. And so, gosh, man, Dustin Poirier, you talk about what he's achieved in this sport without, and Kenny, he fought for a UFC title 3 times, just like you, the undisputed, right? So, and what Poirier's just achieved is massive. But yeah, for Max, it's not lost on me, John. But I think for him, it's all gravy. I think he goes from here in a great place no matter what.
KenFlo, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that as it relates to Max Holloway, but I just think that he's going to be set up really well at lightweight, win or lose this weekend.
No, I agree. I don't think there's much pressure on Holloway at all. He's kind of acting like it in all of his interviews. And it's almost like he knows something that no one else knows. And I think that having fought at 155 a few times now, and the fact that he's really worked hard on adding that punching power and size into his training regimen, I think he's got the power now, whereas last time he fought Dustin Poirier at 155, he did not. He was landing a lot of great shots, but it looked like it didn't have a whole lot of effect on Dustin Poirier, whereas Poirier's shots were having a big-time effect on him. So, I mean, if there's any doubts about his power, look at that fight against Gaethje, man. I mean, even in the shots before the knockout, I mean, he was landing heavy shots, and Gaethje was feeling them for sure.
Other than losing to a guy 3 times, I just don't see any real downside here for Max Holloway. And in terms of Dustin Poirier, right, part of the reason I think that he never fought Alexander Volkanovski was just because the calendars didn't align and Volkanovski didn't move up to 155 at a non-championship setting or whatever it may be. But Dustin didn't necessarily see the mass appeal in that fight because maybe Volkanovski is the smaller man. Right now, Nate Diaz is sort of the fight that got away for Poirier. They were booked in 2018, Madison Square Garden. It didn't happen, right? If Dustin Poirier were to lose to Nate Diaz, Kenny, this weekend as a minus 550 betting favorite or so, that would not necessarily. No. I'm saying that if Dustin Poirier was fighting Nate Diaz this weekend as a minus 550 betting favorite, guy coming on my own podcast trying to correct me, right? That would be downside, right?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people didn't want to see Dustin fight Nate because on paper, the odds makers made it so vast, right? Dustin's the underdog this weekend, fighting a guy that he's already beaten twice. So I don't know. I just think that it's the perfect fight at the perfect time. The BMF belt's on the line, and here we go.
Well, and I just want to ask, like in terms of pressure, right? Like these guys have fought in such big spots, like the idea that there'd be more pressure on Poirier fighting in his backyard than fighting for a belt. But if I'm Max Holloway, and I would never doubt that mindset of any fighter, but the fact that this guy got you twice and Volk got you 3 times, like, man, if I'm Max Holloway, this feels like the biggest fight of my life, right? To not have 3 fight losses to these 3 guys and to sort of upset the apple cart here. I think there's a little bit of pressure on Blessed.
Yeah. I didn't think about it that way. That you could be right. That's interesting.
Anyway. All right, we'll see how it plays out. We'll get some main event predictions from KenFlo later in the program. So, Dirty Boxing 3, has that been announced yet, Jay, or no?
Can't really disclose much. Dates moved around a little bit. I believe it'll be in the month of August. I can tell you that.
Okay, so July 26th is not happening.
And should be for the first Dirty Boxing Heavyweight Championship of the world. Jairzinho, Biggie Boy Rosenstrike versus the Wolf Rob Perez from Worcester, Mass. Flo, with a great Boston accent to boot, and a nice right hook too. So we'll see what happens, but that should be fun. All
right,
so look forward to it.
Before we let you go, 2 more items. UFC at the White House. So this is interesting, right? Because Dana White certainly in the past has been non-committal when it comes to an outdoor show. I don't know if this thing is going to be outside or whatever. But Kenny, what was your initial reaction to President Trump suggesting there was going to be a UFC live event next summer on the White House lawn?
My initial reaction was, John Jones is back? Yeah, let's go. He's back in the conversation. He's coming back. No, I don't know. Who knows? We'll talk about that, I'm sure. But, dude, Trump sometimes, he just throws something out of there like he's got this idea, or maybe he just talked to Dana about it like for a half a second, and he's like, I'm going to throw this idea out there. Or maybe it's actually going to happen. He just might be crazy enough to try to make it happen. The logistics to me, when I think about something like that, sounds insane from a security standpoint of how they would pull that off. But if there's one president who would try to pull that off, it would probably be President Trump. And Dana White would probably try to do everything in his power to make that happen. So that was, I mean, have we seen anything like that ever? I don't know. Just the whole idea just got me a little bit excited, man.
John, you can get me out of here. I know you got the action man here, but as soon as I heard it, I was like, oh, it's immediately happening, and it's definitely happening. We could go on and on and on. I said this a week ago. As soon as Trump uttered the words and then the UFC confirmed, like, it's 100% happening. We can talk about the outdoors thing. We can talk about it for the next 11 plus months. But anyway, appreciate you.
And I will just say in closing on that, I don't know if it was Ethan Diamandis from Oddshark who suggested it to me, but the UFC pulled off a miraculous show at Sphere. And logistically, doing a show at the White House pales greatly when compared to that. Not that there aren't hurdles, but right. I don't think it's going to be a closed event. It's not going to be like it's 20,000 people. But all right, at Boston Anik, anything for us on the Bilal Muhammad front? Do we have a date? Do we have an opponent? Nothing for us, right?
No, just that he's super healthy, and he almost wanted to fight in August. He keeps talking about, there's no co-main event in Chicago in August. He's been, said ad nauseum that I think Usman is next for him. Whether Kamaru wants that fight or not, I don't know. Yeah. But Bilal's much less injured than some may think coming out of that fight with JDM.
All right, at Boston Anik, Jay, appreciate you stopping by. Hope to see you in New Orleans this weekend, kid.
All right, boys. See ya.
See you, Jay.
All right, good to have everybody with us live here on the Anik and Florian podcast on a Monday. We go back out to the guest line, and we are joined by the king of combat, the action man, UFC welterweight warrior Chris Curtis, who I believe is joining us on the eve of his 38th birthday. You got a birthday tomorrow, champ?
Yeah, God, I'm getting old. 38 tomorrow.
Not in this room. In this room, you are exactly. Very young.
Yeah, but in fighting years, I'm like 400.
Well, we love you. We love your fighting spirit. We love your smile, and we saw that after a big win over Max Griffin this weekend. How are you feeling overall, just about the W, the weight class, the performance, and everything else?
Physically, I feel great, man. All I got is some nice stitches. Ooh, I'm like lagging really bad there. Sorry.
That's all right.
Got some nice stitches from the headbutt, but outside of that, no injuries, nothing. So that's nice. Always nice to feel good after a fight. Performance-wise, it's not my best, not my worst, but we kind of knew this wasn't going to be like a career-defining showcase fight for me. He's just not the opponent for that. He never is. Right. But I feel good. I got to test out, how I would feel in a fight after my first weight cut to 170 in 4 or 5 years. And, we got 15 minutes in, which was nice. I now trust that my body can handle it. Because we didn't have a time for a practice cut. It's the first time I've seen 170 in 4 years. There was no practice cut, nothing. We kind of had one shot at it. So it's honestly a little nerve-wracking going in and like, okay, there's no plan B. We have no idea how you're gonna feel. I'm making pancakes. Sorry.
No, go
but
ahead.
waffles, yeah. But it felt good. We felt great. Uh, we had some adversity. We stayed focused. We got the job done. I'm happy. The next fight's going to be better. It's only up from here. But for the first time out, I felt great, man. I felt good. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, Chris, Max Griffin's an unorthodox fighter. How much did that kind of throw you off a little bit once you got in the cage with him?
It's pretty wild. It's pretty weird, man. Like he's a very. I always tell people, guys, fighting's like dancing. And it's really hard to dance when your partner either doesn't want to dance or has no idea how to dance. And it's just like that dude's out there dancing to the beat of his own drum, and I'm just like, oh, okay, man. And like, it's true, but I'll get shit for it. But honestly, I'm like, I've been told
100%
people,
true.
I'm like, not to be mean, but like, when was the last time you saw a really cool Max Griffin fight where you were like, oh, that's a badass fight? He's not that type of fighter. So like, it's really hard to have that type of fight when the other guy's just doing shit and you're like, all right, like it's fine. So after we got cut early from the headbutt, and I'm just like, okay, like this is just not gonna go. This isn't gonna be clean. I had to accept like it's not gonna be the fight we planned for. It's not gonna be the one. But we did plan for it. It is the fight we planned for. It's not the fight I wanted. It's the fight we
Right.
planned for. So I'm like, okay, like stick to the plan. Like if you went to plan 2.0, because we figured he'd either come out to fight or he'd be jumping around being weird. And it turns out he's gonna jump around and be weird. So we planned for it, we adjusted for it, and we kind of had to switch gears. Not what I hoped for, but like it's something we expected.
Now, after the fight, they're about to announce the winner. How nervous were you? Given the fact that you've gotten the wrong end of some close decisions.
Oh, but at first, when the fight was over, I was completely confident. I was like, won that, I thought pretty cleanly. And then they say split, and I'm like, oh, we're doing this again. So I was not gonna lie, man. Like definitely had the butthole pucker a little bit. You're like, oh, not this again. And like the moment I heard that split, I was like, you got to be kidding me. But we're in that era of MMA with like the weird judging era has come back around. So
Yeah.
definitely made me a little bit nervous. Like it's always different in the fight. I figured like, hey, we might have lost the first round just from the headbutt and like me kind of not wanting to engage where I was because of the headbutt. But I was like second and third round, I thought I won cleanly, and I was like, how was that a split? And it's just
Right.
yeah, definitely a bit nervous. Not gonna lie, like butthole definitely puckered, probably like a 8 out of 10, like pucker factor. Like it was rough.
Well, I feel like I need to ask like a long question over 30 seconds right now so this man can have a few bites of his food. The king of combat, Chris Curtis, with us live on the Anik and Florian podcast. Not omnipresent on social media anymore, which I think is interesting, right? Because I think there's so much productivity that I could even realize if I got off of Instagram right now. Certainly for me, social media is inexorably linked to income, right? Like I make money off of my Instagram, but what ends up happening is that I go down rabbit holes and I look at food on Instagram for hours on end. My whole feed is food. There's some attractive women on there, but my whole feed is like animals killing each other and food. And I go on there with good intentions, right? Like I go on there to try to book a fighter for the Anik and Florian podcast. The next thing you know, I'm sending my daughter like chicken parm on steroids.
Dude, I get it. So during camp, especially like, my YouTube algorithm is like a weird reflection of me. And during this camp for like 3 weeks, I had nothing but Indian street food videos. I went down a really dark rabbit hole of Indian street food, and that was just YouTube. So like, I'm so glad I'm out of like the Twitter and the Instagram, because I would never get anything done. And I do realize I get a lot more done without it.
Yeah.
But I go down rabbit holes. I have really bad ADHD. Like I spent weeks looking at Indian street food, and then it morphed into like I'm looking at like the culture in India, and like it got weird.
Yeah.
It got really weird. I'm like, you know what? Me getting off is a good idea.
So this past weekend, less than 48 hours ago, was your 32nd mixed martial arts win. Now, tomorrow's your 38th birthday. I don't know how exciting that is for you, but I would imagine mixed martial arts provides you the best opportunity to make money in one night as opposed to anything else you could possibly be doing. And now back at welterweight, and I think your performance was better than you're giving it credit for. Working the body, the boxing looked great, the combinations were there. Do you think about like the next 2 years, the next 3 years, or are you just trying to just sort of take it fight by fight and see how your body responds?
For me, I'll be 38, so I might as well just say 38. So I know that I have at least 2 good years left in me. Hands, I still feel great. I feel really good. Like even getting down to 170 was easier than I thought it would be. I'm faster than I was at 85. My body feels good. Got no really big injuries. So I always tell myself I've got at least 2 good years. At 40, my fiance and my management and I, we decided we'll have that talk and see how we feel. I've always felt like, 40's at that age where you got to, some people wear it better than others, but you see, some people start to hang around a little bit longer than they should. So at 40, we'll see where we are. We'll see how we feel. We'll see how we are career-wise. I would love to fight until, I'm old and gray.
Yeah.
And I would love that. Like this is what I do. But I also understand that, like, my family and my friends care about my health. And, like, even to say that now, like, I'm following the BJ Penn insanity. Like, mental health plays a part in this. Like, damage to your brain plays a part in, your future after this. So you don't want to be that guy who hangs around too long. I've got at least 2 good years left in me. At least 2 good years. Probably 3. But at 40, we'll have that talk and we'll figure it out. We'll see how it is. And, everybody wants to leave on their own terms, but this is a really hard job to leave.
Right. And we saw you, and I know you're much younger than these guys, but Derek Lewis and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I mean, Stephen Thompson looks like he can fight till he's 45, 46 years of age, So I certainly wouldn't put that past you. Is there anything that is exciting to you about, and I ask this in part because Dominic Cruz is one of my best friends, and he has now just recently walked into his new reality. Like, what's the most exciting thing for you to think about when you're 43 and no longer get to or have to go through a training camp?
I haven't decided if it's exciting yet. I think that's more terrifying to me. I'm still at a point in my life where life without fighting scares me.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like a while ago, I was in the PI. Forrest Griffin walked up to me out of nowhere. He's like, Chris Curtis, I was thinking about you. I'll really worry about you when you're done fighting. And I was like, that is a hell of a thing to say, Forrest Griffin. I'm still at that point in my life to where I know there's things I want to do outside of fighting. Like I really want to write. I love writing. I want to write when I'm done. But I'm just not sure that, I know that like right now, I'm not ready to give that up.
Yeah.
And it's hard to think about that part of life. I know it's coming sooner rather than later, but I just love what I do, man. Like I love fighting. That's my biggest joy, sadly. Yeah. And it's scary to know that one day you got to walk away from it. So not excited yet, still kind of scared, but I'm enjoying it while I can.
Well, no, and you got a lot to offer the space even beyond that, but you still look like you got a lot of good prime years left. And we should talk about writing, because this UFC job that I have is the most intensive writing for television job that I think exists. So we should have some conversations. What type of writing are you trying to do?
I'm going to write fiction, but I mean, I just love to write in general.
That's cool.
Hey, I actually am a pretty good speechwriter. It's one of my skills. I just like writing in general, man. I've always loved it. Maybe I'll go back to school and get like an English degree or something to help out with that. But I just love writing, man. It's I want to write books. I want to write stories. It's just I love
cool.
it.
So in terms of the rest of 2025, now to the hard-hitting investigative journalist question. I don't know if there's a name on the tip of your tongue or what you are expectant the promotion is going to present to you, either in terms of an opponent or a date, but what does the immediate fighting future hold for Chris Curtis?
Man, people think I'm joking. I really have no idea who most people are in this division. Like, I just don't. I don't follow fighting the way I used to. I've got friends in this division, people I know. Outside of that, I've got like no real idea who's in this division. I just like to fight. Maybe I like to fight too much. I get chastised for that. I got chastised in the fight for that. I just like to fight too much. I don't really pay attention to anything outside of like my joy of fighting. So I don't have a name tip of my tongue. I just want to fight people. Like that's all it is. I just want to fight. I love being in the cage. I love the being in the fight. I love hitting people. I love getting hit. So like, I don't really care who's across from me. I just want to fight. Um, Welterweights tend to be a little more scrappy and fun. I'm just hoping Sean Shelby gives me somebody who wants to get in there and throw down. Like I just want to have fun fights. Like that's I've
Yeah,
got
yeah,
at least 2 more years left. I just want to have fun fights, man. I don't care who it is, what's going on. I just want somebody who wants to scrap.
So between fights, do you have to sort of monitor things a little bit differently if somehow you get a call for like October 4th in Las Vegas and you're 198 or something?
So I haven't even checked my weight yet, but I was at 192, 93 on fight night, so I'm probably 95 right now. I don't think I'll get higher than 95.
Yeah.
We'll be off this week. I want to try to get. I think I walked around this entire camp like between 95 and 90, usually at 90, but they made me gain some weight because I was too small. So I think walking around 90 would be perfect. I think I
Yeah.
can manage walking around 90 pretty easily, still live comfortably. Like
Yeah.
that's the goal. Like I want to be. I'm never gonna be able to fight in a week's notice. It's just not gonna happen. But
Yeah.
not anymore at this weight.
Right.
But if
Right.
I can stay ready, give me 3 weeks, give me 4 weeks, and I'm in. So I just want to. I train 7 days a week outside of camp, regardless, because this is just what I do. It's my
Yeah.
job, so I'm always ready. So it's a little bit different. I can't do the short notice, but I'm always gonna be ready to fight. Like if something comes up, I hope they call me. Mick Maynard always knew he could call me if something came up. I was always
Right.
gonna say yes. So now I'm just gonna show Sean Shelby the same thing. Like if you need a guy to step in and
Yeah.
fight somebody, I'm usually that guy.
Yeah. Switching up the matchmakers on you when you switch divisions. Well, you are an absolute credit to the sport. Your smile always lifts up a room. Congrats on a big win. Happy birthday. And
Thank you.
hopefully we'll see you, November, December, if not sooner, brother. Have a great day. And
I'm hoping, man. I'm hoping. Thanks
All right,
talking to you guys. Thank you very
thanks,
much.
man.
Congrats, Chris.
There he
Thanks,
is.
man.
UFC
Later.
Welterweight Chris Curtis, the action man, the king of combat, with us here on the Anik and Florian podcast. It is interesting, just all the joy for fighting that emanates off of that individual. There are a lot of fighters who do it either because they have to or because they need to or for other reasons, and they don't have all that residual joy. So that was cool to hear.
He's about that life, man. Always training.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right, now we go 3 wide once again, and we welcome in big gun Brian Petrie as we spin things forward to UFC 318. Big gun.
What's up, boys?
How we
Been
living?
a while. I'm good, man. 2 weeks without seeing my guys.
I know.
I need to see them. What's up?
Yeah. Well, I need to hear your voice, right? I mean,
Yeah.
more than anything, I need to hear your voice, but it's nice to see your face as well. So we do have one audio file that I would like to present to you guys, not necessarily some big formal pronunciation of the week brought to you by Total Wireless or anything, although we'll throw the fucking Total Wireless bug up there in the corner, even though they're not paying. So Vinicius Oliveira seems pretty easy to pronounce, but it's his nickname that people are having an issue with, KenFlo. So,
Okay.
Kenny, do you know Vinicius Oliveira's nickname?
I do not. I do not.
So it's either Lock Dog or Loke Dog. It's spelled Lokdog. So care to venture a guess as to the nickname for Vinicius Oliveira, KenFlo?
Lucky Joggy. Is that what it is? Lucky Joggy? Is that what it is? No? Is that it? Did I nail it?
Lucky up, you fucking doggy. All right,
Lucky
let's
Joggy.
He nailed it.
That's Canada.
let's hear Vinicius. Cody, go ahead.
Vinicius Lockdog de Oliveira.
Oh, jeez.
Vinicius Lockdog de Oliveira.
Locked up.
What do you guys think?
Locked up.
Fast.
Locked up.
Locked up.
He also, it's actually Vinicius de Oliveira. Like there's a
D'Oliveira.
de Oliveira,
Right.
but I guess he
Yeah.
drops it, right? So, but every time I get off the air after calling this guy's fights, excuse me, and as you guys know, they're fairly epic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun to say Lock Dog on a hot
Yeah.
microphone. I get all these people saying it's Loke Dog, but there's the file. He
No.
says Lock Dog, right?
Yeah, it's
No,
locked.
it's
not
Lock
locked.
Dog.
All right.
dude.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Perhaps that was selfish
It's
for me to
Lock
bring that to the
Dog,
table.
dog. Yeah.
All right. Lock Dog Vinicius Oliveira. All right, today's main event challenge on the Anik and Florian podcast is presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. We have 7 predictions today. We will begin with a middleweight prelim, Bry. Brendan Allen, minus 245, taking on Marvin Vettori, who is plus 200. So these guys initially booked, as you know, Bry, April of 2024. Vettori was forced to pull out. Now it shall be done. 17th UFC appearance for Allen, the Covington, Louisiana native, trying to stop his 2-fight slide here at home. BP, go ahead.
Well, so these guys fought for free before. I don't know if you guys ever
Yes.
saw that video. Now they're getting paid for it. These guys do not like each other very much, and I like that, right? And I like that Brendan Allen, what I've been following him on social media, is he kind of went, okay, I'm going to get out of Florida for a little bit, and he went to Chicago, which I know he has ties with Bilal and those guys, but it looked like he did most of his camp in Chicago. Looks in phenomenal shape. He had that 2-fight skid after coming off the main event win over Chris, and then a 2-fight skid in the Hernandez fight. Listen, Fluff Hernandez is a G. So good, but he did look flat in that fight, and he was very upset with himself on social media. He's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Seems like he's rebounded well. He's got a guy that he doesn't like. He wants to fight. Vittori on a 2-fight skid as well. We know how Vittori fights. Very pressure heavy, very volume based, not a lot of power, which is surprising considering how big he is for this division. I give the power to Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen, I think, is involving his striking. He does have some good power in there, but the volume is something that worries me. He had a lot of volume in the Chris fight, but that was a 5-round fight. Does he get off in a 3-round fight with a lot of volume? He mixes his kicks in well, and then the takedowns. That's the big key here, because I think Brendan Allen's better on the ground, but Vittori is very stubborn to get down, right? So this is kind of interesting here. I can understand why people are taking Vittori at this dog money. I know it's early in the week. I do see some people flirting with that plus money, that plus 200. I get it. I can see him decision Brendan Allen. I just think Brendan Allen, all in, right? All in, Brendan. I think he's a little bit better everywhere, and I think he's gonna prove that here. I think if he can get Vittori to the ground, maybe catching a kick or maybe dropping him, which is easier said and done, he'll dominate on the ground. I think if he gets to the ground somehow, he'll dominate. But otherwise, very close fight. Good to go to decision. Maybe split, but give me Brendan Allen. I'll take the favorite here.
KenFlo, Brendan Allen has long pined for this chance to fight in his native Louisiana. Not even the featured prelim. I don't know if that speaks to the depth of the card or if that's a straight fucking insult. Anyway, Vittori's still only 31. Just 2 decision wins for Vittori across his 5 starts since fighting Israel Adesanya for the middleweight title back in 2021. His last appearance, Kenny, main event loss to Roman Dolidze in March of this year. Vittori back on the horse this weekend against BA.
Yeah, interesting fight here. It was funny. As I was doing my research, I came across the Brendan Allen interview, and the guy's interviewing him, and he's like, well, surely you're going to be a co-main event. Can you hear me? Hello? Can you guys hear me?
I got you.
Okay, there we go.
You got me, Bri? I can't hear KenFlo. Did he freeze?
No, I can hear both of you guys.
Yeah. No.
Oh, we back. Sorry, Kenny. I couldn't hear a word you said.
Okay. Sorry. No, as I was doing my research, I came across a Brendan Allen interview, and the guy was talking about, he's like, well, surely you're going to be on the main card. Probably a co-main event, right? And Brendan's like, I don't know. I think so. Yada, yada, yada. And, of course, here we are talking about a prelim fight. But it's a good one. I agree with you, Brian. I think Brendan Allen is more technical of a fighter and better everywhere. But Marvin Vittori, he's got this skull. It's like a grizzly bear head. And you can't quite hurt him when you hit him there. Even if you hit him clean, he just keeps on coming. Mm-hmm. I think Marvin Vittori's best bet, though, is to try to put Allen on his back. While Brendan Allen is very good on the ground, he does his best work when he gets top position. That's where I think Brendan Allen can really mess you up, either with his ground or pound or his submissions. And Marvin Vittori, being a thick, big guy, may try to take the ground and pound route and maybe tire out Brendan Allen in that process. I think that's the best path to victory here. But I think sometimes Vittori doesn't always get off to the best starts and kind of gets behind a little bit. And that's where Brendan Allen has to keep that lead throughout this fight and not get complacent. So, yeah, I'm with Brendan Allen here as well. Could Vittori upset? Yes, I think that is very possible as well. So not a strong opinion on this one, but give me Brendan Allen.
When I broke my chair on the Anik and Florian podcast and it collapsed and I fell back, I was talking about Vittori's chin when I put on my weight back. Right. I was just saying, how is somebody going to actually put this guy away?
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Featured prelim fellas at bantamweight. 15th ranked Vinicius Lockdog Oliveira minus 175, taking on number 12 Kyler Phillips, who comes back plus 145. So Lockdog Bry off to a scintillating start in the UFC, 3-0, and now he gets a step up against Kyler Phillips. He's looking to respond from a late 2024 setback against Wooburn's Rob Font. How do you see it playing out at 35 BP?
So I'm licking my chops right now, and I got to settle myself down because when I get super excited about something like this, I usually burn myself in the ass. I got to be cool. I got to stay calm, but I think Lockdog is a lock here. And there's no disrespect, but it's cool Kyler. Kyler's, that guy's probably going to fucking boogie board on into the press conference. You know what I mean? This dude's so cool, right? But I just think Lock Dog, look who he's beaten in his early UFC career is pretty goddamn impressive. Kyler has a great record too. He had a 3-fight win streak. One of those was Hunter Barcelos, who's super hot right now. But he lost his last fight and fades in fights as well. I don't really know what his game plan would be when he want to take Lock Dog down. He would take Oliveira down. Good luck, because that's easier said than done. Does he want to stand with them? Good luck, because the guy's electric. He's big, he's thick, he's explosive, this vision, and he has cardio. He's proven it time and time again. And I think Kyler, as talented he is and as vet-worn as he is, because he's been around for a while, I just think he slows down in fights. I think he has a really good first round, and then he kind of gets complacent, and there's really never a next level to him. And you're hanging minus 175. That minus would be plus money in my eyes right now. Give me Lock Dog. Give me Oliveira for all the chips, for all the beans. We're not there yet. But I like him a lot in this spot. I'm just trying to convey to the audience how much I like this dude in this spot right here. I think he gets it done, and I hope to see maybe a finish and let this star continue to rise. So, I'm all over Oliveira.
Oliveira, 29 years of age, out of Rio Grande do Sul. He has defeated Bernardo Sopai, Ricky Simon, and Said Nurmagomedov thus far. Phillips on the other side, Kenny out of the MMA lab, 6-2 in the UFC. Last win came against Pedro Munoz. That was UFC 299 last March. How do you see the bantamweights going down this weekend? Kid.
This is an interesting one. I think Oliveira, he's on a 3-fight win streak right now. He's big, he's powerful, he's mentally tough. And doesn't really tire that much. And that is a concern. As Brian talked about, we have seen Kyler Phillips get a little tired late in fights. Definitely doesn't want to do this against this tough Brazilian guy here, because he has some serious knockout power. He's not going to quit, even if he's behind. He's going to be mentally sound throughout this fight. Kyler Phillips, though, I think is certainly the more technical fighter. I think he's got more ways to win in this one in a lot of ways. Maybe he doesn't have the knockout power, I should say. Maybe he doesn't have the knockout power of Oliveira. But I kind of like him in this underdog spot here. I think that Kyler Phillips is one of those guys that is always going to come back stronger after a loss. I think he's a definite martial artist. He's going to learn from that last one where he was doing well and then wasn't. Font is very tough. I think Font is fighting extremely well right now. So unfortunate timing there, but I do think Kyler Phillips still has it. I still think he can get back to the top of his game. And maybe people are overestimating the Brazilian Vinicius Oliveira a little bit here at this point. And going to go with Phillips. Give me Phillips.
Yeah, see, nothing I like more as the guy who just sets up the main event challenge when one guy takes his testicles out, puts them on the table, and then the other guy just fucking stomps on him.
Yeah.
All right, main card opener live on pay-per-view. UFC 318 comes your way in the lightweight division. Daniel Zellhuber minus 500. Michael Johnson comes back plus 380. So Johnson turned 39 last month. He had a big year last year, 2 wins. First time he had won back-to-back fights since 2018. He is 15-15 in the UFC. It feels like a record that Daniel Zellhuber will never realize. 31st UFC start for MJ comes against Zellhuber, who's the 5-1 favorite. Brian Petrie, go ahead.
I've talked about my addiction to Michael Johnson, and I've never been addicted to anything in my life. It's betting Michael Johnson, and betting Michael Johnson's an underdog. I mean, forget about it. It's like when you're single and you tell your buddies like you're with some girl, and she's maybe not your buddy's type, but she's she does something for you, right? You can't explain it. And your buddy's like, really her? Yeah, really her, motherfucker. Don't worry about it, right? That's how I feel with Michael Johnson. This guy, I feel like in his prime could beat anybody, right? I mean, he has a win over Dustin Poirier, clean knockout win. Like this guy in his prime could beat anybody. He's stepping in here. He's still extraordinarily fast. That left hand's a piston, right? He can wrestle a little bit. His defensive wrestling's there. His cardio's there. Zellhuber coming off one of the biggest performances of his life. Fight of the year, one of the Fight of the Year candidates at Noche. He fell a little short in that fight, right? A fight he could have won and he got rocked and he showed tremendous heart and everything. But Zellhuber proved in that fight and other fights that he is hittable. You can crack that chin. Incredible heart. He won't go away, but you can crack it. And I think Michael Johnson is one of the cleanest finishers in the UFC, even at 39 years old. He touches you with the left hand. You go down. He's going to jump on that like a dog on a bone. He's going to try to finish that. And you're giving me plus 380. Yeah, I'm all over Michael Johnson. No disrespect to Zellhuber. I think Zellhuber is a tremendous talent, but minus 500 to me is just a little too high for a guy who's slightly unproven. I think his skills are extraordinary. But again, I just have Michael Johnson X factor where if he lands something and you're giving me that right number, I'm going to take it. So yeah, give me Michael Johnson.
It is interesting, Bri and KenFlo, is it not, that Michael Johnson is competing on Poirier's retirement event? His signature win, the biggest win of his career, of course, was that main event in Hidalgo, Texas in 2016, about a 92nd round one knockout of Poirier, and that set Michael Johnson up for a fight with Khabib Nurmagomedov. And now we see what he has this weekend for Daniel Zellhuber, Kenny. The latter, of course, back for the first time since that epic clash with Ribovics at Sphere. He was going to face Elvis Brenner in March. Brenner withdrew. Then Austin Hubbard stepped in. Zellhuber withdrew for whatever reason. And now he ends his 10-month layoff against Johnson in New Orleans.
Yeah, Michael Johnson definitely can win this fight. And with those odds, I think it's very juicy and tempting. I also like what Michael Johnson's saying. It seems like he's gone back to the basics, really trying to improve his skills overall, and we're seeing that with the results. So it's a great way to kind of rejuvenate yourself, especially after you're getting kind of some momentum here with this 2-fight win streak. So I like that. Definitely has knockout power, but he's going against a guy in Zellhuber who is very big for the division, who has knockout power himself, has a ton of skills, and has a range when he's using it that can cause problems for a lot of people. And yes, the Zellhuber-Ribovics fight was tremendous, but I don't think Zellhuber did himself any favors by fighting with that style. It was exciting. And if he fights Michael Johnson like that, then guess what? Michael Johnson can absolutely knock him out. So Zellhuber, up to that point, prior to Ribovics, didn't really have that style where he was just kind of brawling and fighting in a rage. And while it's exciting, it's not conducive to consistency in the UFC. The guys are just too damn good out there. So, and certainly doesn't want to do that here against Johnson. I think Zellhuber is going to go back to being more of a technical fighter, keeping Johnson on the outside. I think he's going to respect the veteran here, and as a result, get the decision win. But I do think the odds are pretty juicy there for Johnson. But give me the Mexican fighter, Daniel Zellhuber.
All right, next fight on pay-per-view. Big things at featherweight. 12th ranked Dan Ige, -170, taking on Patricio Pitbull, who is +142. So Pitbull, Bri, the underdog here, as he looks to avoid a quick 0-2 start. He just turned 38. This fight about 3 months after the loss to Yair Rodriguez. On the other side, Ige, he's elite as far as I'm concerned. I mean, he has dealt with some inconsistencies at the highest level, but in contention after the win over Sean Woodson on that same card that Pitbull fought on UFC 314. Now they're in each other's bracket. How do you see it going down, Bri?
Yeah, I love this fight. They both kind of wanted it, and I'm glad they got it. They're both very similar when they fight. And Pitbull, let's just put it out there, he stunk his last fight. That wasn't the Pitbull that was a double champ in Bellator. He landed 17 strikes. He wasn't aggressive. It is Yair Rodriguez. Yair Rodriguez is a stud. He's probably the fastest guy at 145, and he just froze. And I don't know if it's UFC lights that got him or Yair that got him, but a guy who I expected to be a little bit maybe not really the freeze in front of the UFC. But that's the show. You know what I mean? You could be double champ outside, but you're in the show now, right? He's getting Ige, who's a statesman, right? I just feel like if it ever lined up like UFC versus whoever, they're going to throw out Dan Ige at 145 just to maybe gauge to see who the fuck it is, because he's kind of the benchmark right there.
Yeah.
He's elite. He hasn't got over that hump yet to beat the elite, but he's going to beat a lot of guys. Chin for days, good power, good cardio. Takedown defense needs to be worked on a little bit, but I don't really know if Pitbull's going to come out here and look for a takedown. I think Pitbull's going to come out here and redeem himself. He's the first one to say, listen, that wasn't me last fight. I got to get back. He's fighting a guy who's not as long as Yair. They're both equally as fast, and they're about the same size, and they have the same similar strategy. So I think you take the takedowns out, and we're going striking for striking. As much as I want to pull the trigger on as Pitbull as his dog money here, I just think Ige is going to be a step ahead here. I think his boxing's clean. I think his kicks are clean. I think his movement's clean. I think Pitbull's one advantage over a lot of people is his speed. I don't really know if his speed's going to play a factor here with Ige, who moves really well and defends himself well. And if he does get hit, he's got a fucking chin for days. You know what I mean? So I like Ige at this -170. I'm out running to the win of the bet.
Yeah.
This fight has confused me a little bit. But I do like Dan Ige to get the win.
Big Ron Pellegrino's term of endearment for Dan Ige would probably be to call him a coxman.
Coxman. Yeah, I like that. Big Ron Coxman.
KenFlo, Ige's lost 3 of 5, 6 of his last 10, but of course only against the top guys like Lerone Murphy, Diego Lopez, Movsar Evloev. Your thoughts on him here, -170 against Patricio Pitbull, who comes back +142.
Yeah, glad you brought up that experience, and that high-level experience, more importantly, because I think it's poised him very well to fight a guy like Patricio Pitbull. And they do a lot of things similarly. I think Ige maybe has more power at this point of his career. And I also think that Dan Ige is the kind of guy that will take this kind of opportunity and take advantage of it. And I agree with Brian. I don't think Pitbull had his best performance in that last one. But now if he increases that aggression, tries to come forward, I think that just kind of opens him up that much more to take one of those big shots from Dan Ige. Pitbull may try to hit some takedowns here and try to neutralize Dan Ige. That might be his best bet, but then that's not going to make it very exciting here. So he's kind of in a pickle here. What I would like to see is the winner of this fight has to shave the beard or the head of the other guy so they don't look so damn alike. Have you seen these guys? How are you gonna tell them apart? It's got to be a razor blade match. At the end of the fight, one guy's got to shave the other guy's beard or something like that. And either way, who do I think that guy's going to be? I think it's going to be Dan Ige. I think Ige's gonna take this one.
All right, Bri, that brings us to a featured bout in the welterweight division. Kevin Holland minus 395, Daniel Rodriguez plus 310. So most of our listeners will probably remember those crazy days surrounding UFC 279 when these guys were to face each other in 2022, and that entire fight card got reshuffled late in the week. D-Rod ended up facing Li Jingliang, escaped with a split. Holland, of course, elevated to face Khamzat Chimaev. That did not go exceedingly well. And now they both have momentum, and this fight has been rebooked. Brian Petrie, you like Holland the near 4-1 favorite or D-Rod the dog?
So I'm going to try to contain my excitement because I feel like whoever I pick, Kenny's going to go stomp on my nuts after this because the guy's hot right now. He has every right to stomp on the nuts, but I'm all over Kevin Holland. I think this is a tailor-made matchup for Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland looks really good against strikers, right? It's always a close fight. I think he's superior to an older guy in Rodriguez who's a little bit slower, throws a lot of straight punches. No disrespect to D-Rod. He's got 1986 on the chest. That's the best year. That was when I was born, right? This dude's a real deal, but when Daniel Rodriguez has fallen short to the elite strikers. Is Kevin Holland an elite striker? I don't know, but I think he's an elite guy at 170. At 170, he's nasty, right? And I think this fight is going to come down to a little bit of the ground game. I think Kevin Holland, who gets bullied around a little bit at 85, not going to happen. I think this is going to be a little bit of a club and sub. I think Kevin's going to hit him with something, hit the mat, get one of those front chokes, over. I like Kevin Holland. I like Kevin Holland by sub. I'm all over it. The only thing I'm not screaming for is the numbers a little high. I think Vegas is dead right on this one. He's almost a 4-1 favorite at minus 395. But yeah, I like Big Mouth here. I think Big Mouth gets it done, and it's a really good matchup for him.
Kevin Holland, 32 years of age, 15-10 with a no contest in the UFC, but a couple huge wins recently against Gunnar Nelson and Vicente Luque have a lot of people sort of fancying him a legitimate contender now in the welterweight division. Rodriguez is going to be 39 in December, had a big stoppage win over Santiago Ponzinibbio back in May. Who do you like at 70, kid?
That's right. D-Rod is very, very dangerous. I think he's got knockout power, and Kevin Holland's definitely going to have to respect that. He's going to have to use his range to keep Rodriguez on the outside, use a lot of kicks, mix things up. And I think if he's able to do that, compounded with his speed, I think this is a great stylistic matchup for him. So, Brian, I'm with you here. I'll take my cleats off. I won't step on your nuts.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm quite bullish on Kevin Holland here. Nice. So, yeah, might get a little too excited for this one. So we'll see. Yeah.
Maybe some parlay fodder later.
Yes. Talking money.
Place your bets. All right. Co-main event of middleweight, Russian striker Roman Kopylov, minus 245, taking on Brazil's Paulo Costa, who is the plus 200 underdog. These men were born 13 days apart from each other in the year 1991. More recently, Kopylov has handled his UFC business quite well. He's won 6 of 7. Only man to beat him in that stretch, Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, whom this room absolutely loves. Costa really has underachieved, Bri, relative to expectation. Just one win since he beat Yoel Romero back in 2019. How do you think he fares this weekend?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I don't understand. Listen, I get it. He's a hunk. He's ripped. He's funny. But he doesn't really deliver in the cage. I mean, the fights are exciting, but he needs to win fights. And getting this co-main here is very interesting. I think this is a huge opportunity for Kopylov because even though he's not winning, Costa still has that name. He still has that recognition. He's Brazilian Superman. You know what I mean? People want to get a win over him, and I think Kopylov can get a win over him. Kopylov looked really good against a guy, Chris Curtis, my guy, who was just on the show here. Shout out Chris Curtis. Happy birthday. he got to win over Chris Curtis and look dynamic doing it, right? Chris is primarily a boxer, just like Costa is. And Kopylov exposed a lot of that, threw a lot of kicks, a lot of movement in there, and got Chris with the head kick. And that's something that Costa has been prone to do. He has eaten, just flat out eaten head kicks in fights, didn't flinch. But I think Kopylov, I was high on him coming in the UFC. You know, I got a lot of shit. I posted an Instagram video about how, like, this dude's coming in or whatever. He went 0-2, and people were like, bro, you're the dumbest guy in the world. Get the fuck out of here, right? And now look at him. Like, he's a solid guy in this division. He can wrestle a little bit when he needs to, but his striking is the money, right? And his piston left hand, his straight punches are there. His kicks are phenomenal. And I think Costa's going to have to stalk him and really put pressure and try to break this guy. I don't see that happening. I like Kopylov here. Minus 245 is what I expect to pay here. I don't know if I'm going to get there. Definitely a parlay piece for me. Costa nails, though. The guy's, you know, who knows what he's made of, but I don't see him getting finished in this point. I think it's going to be a decision won by Kopylov. I think Kopylov is going to make it look pretty good in those first 2 rounds, and then go for Costa's going to go for broken that third, and he's got to be careful. But yeah, give me Roman Kopylov.
KenFlo, Paulo Costa's older brother Carlos has talked about all the hard work that his younger brother has done in preparation for this fight. You know, illness and random injuries have really been the narrative for Paulo Costa. Even this fight, right, was supposed to happen, and Costa had to pull out, I think, at UFC 317. You know, so I don't know the extent to which Costa is going to grapple or how he's going to approach it. Yeah. But KenFlo, we'll need a prediction on the co-main event, not now, but right now.
Yeah, I mean, which Paulo Costa is going to show up? I think that's the question. You know, and when I'm looking at this fight, I value consistency. And you look at their records, and they're very similar, 14-3 against 14-4. But the last 4 fights tell a very different story. One fighter, Kopylov, going 3-1, and the other in Costa going 1-3. So, yeah, you know, there's a lot of things that can go wrong in the sport, from injuries to illnesses to whatever. But I haven't loved what I've seen from Costa. You know, I want to see more volume. I want to see more passion while he's fighting. And so many times he takes his foot off the gas. And going against a guy in Kopylov, you just cannot do that. This guy is way too dangerous. So can Costa win this fight? You better believe it. But I like the consistency of Kopylov, so I'm going that route.
Yeah, that's well laid out and efficient as well, right? Just passion and urgency in fight consistently, right? He is in this slot for his entertainment value, and understandably so. But yeah, the pockets of inactivity and just that word passion really resonated with me, KenFlo. All right, right back to Florian for the main event. Lightweight BMF title. The former featherweight king Max Holloway is the minus 125 betting favorite right now on DraftKings Sportsbook. Dustin Poirier is the plus 105 betting underdog. It is the third meeting in the series, first since their epic clash at UFC 236 back in 2019. Poirier 36, 32nd UFC appearance. The retirement fight, of course, comes in his home arena, Smoothie King Center in New Orleans. He has not competed since that loss to Islam Makhachev. That was June 1st of 2024, and now trying to make it 3-0 in his series with Max Holloway. KenFlo will take a pick on the main event. The floor is yours.
How do you not love both of these fighters? Both these guys are so beloved. So I feel like this is maybe the only fight where the fans lose in this one, because, you know, I don't know. I think this is one of those fights where both guys are going to be beloved. Like, whoever wins this fight, people are going to be excited, but they're going to be equally as sad for the guy that loses. And Holloway, absolute legend. I think that this is the first time that he's fighting Dustin Poirier where he truly is a 155-pound fighter. I don't think that was the case. Well, obviously they fought at 145 the first time around. But the second time around, I don't think he truly was a 155er. I think he's been working on his power. I think we've been seeing that result you know, come to fruition in the form of that knockout win over Gaethje with 1 second to go. He just looks extremely confident heading into this fight against Dustin Poirier. But, you know, Dustin Poirier, it doesn't matter who he's fighting. He's always going in there for the kill. He's going in there to entertain. He's going to be fighting in his home state. This is his last hurrah. He knows it. Everybody else knows it. So I think we're going to get a Dustin Poirier, talk about passion, talk about urgency, who's going to have all of those things in this fight. What happens when those two things collide? I don't exactly know. But I am leaning the way of Max Holloway. I think Max Holloway comes back extremely strong after a loss, and not mentally, like, we know that, but technically. I've been very impressed with the people that he surrounded himself with. I think his coaches are very, very smart. I think they're always looking for ways to improve, as is Max Holloway. Dustin Poirier certainly has been that. But as far as gains, I've seen a little bit more gains from Holloway. I think he's going to be tough to take down. I think he's going to fill into this weight class a lot more. So because of that, I'm leaning towards Max Holloway. And fight either way. This is a great way to honor a true legend in Dustin Poirier. And I still think that Max Holloway has a lot of gas left in the tank. And the fact that he's not only talking about continuing to fight, but the fact that he envisions himself fighting toward Poirier in a rematch, I think is a very good sign.
All those unheralded coaches on the Holloway side, Rylan Lazares, Ivan Flores, Michael Nakagawa, Jordan Rita in the corner as well. Holloway, slight betting favorite right now on DraftKings Sportsbook. Fascinated to see how it plays out. Brian Petrie, the time is now. Who do you like at UFC 318?
Well, I tell you what, I like this fight. I actually love this fight. Man, what does there say? First off, shout out the UFC production team, whoever does the countdown shows, because this countdown is so good. You don't need all the shit talk. Two classy dudes who it's unbelievable. Just go watch that on YouTube or wherever you want to watch ESPN Plus. Max Holloway's a rare guy, right? This is, I think, maybe the first guy and only guy in UFC history to get a trilogy fight where he's 0-2. He was 0-2 against Volt, got the third fight. 0-2 against Poirier, got the and no one's complaining because it's Max Holloway. He's unbelievable, right? The first fight, 145, you erase that. Second fight, I was in the building right there, one of the best live events I've ever seen. Max was a blown up 45er. He wasn't quite 55. Kenny nailed it. He wasn't there yet. The 55 Max, I fought Justin Gaethje, that's a 55er. And I'm assuming he's going to come into this fight just as in good as shape. And you saw the power. He planted his feet. He knocked out Gaethje, which is super impressive. Even before that, he hurt Gaethje in that fight, and he was doing really well against a powerful guy like Gaethje. But, man, what's there to be said about Dustin Poirier? The guy's done it all. I mean, storybook career. I love that he's ending it against a guy like Max, who's first class. He's going to do all that shit talking in New Orleans where he started, and in a fight that can't be boring. It just can't. He's going to go out Dustin Poirier style. He's going to go out guns a-blazing. This is going to be a back-and-forth striking match. I think they might want to grapple a little bit just to maybe mix up so they can do some more striking just to keep the other guy on their toes, but primarily this is going to be a striking match. In their second fight, Max landed more strikes. Dustin landed the bigger strikes. I think that's what's going to happen here. Max leads a lot, but Dustin counters really well. That's how he got Conor 2 times out last time he fought Conor. He got them both on really beautiful counters. Dustin at 36 is just really clean in his boxing. He's confident in his chin. He's confident in being able to get hurt, come back for him. He's never going to quit. And you got to love that. There's not many people like Dustin Poirier, and I'm sad to see him go, but I'm glad he's getting the write-off the way he is without brain damage and all that stuff. He's getting to go out on his own terms. The guy's a superstar no matter what he does. I like DP here. I like Poirier. I just think he has Max's number. I think in the boxing and the power is still going to favor Dustin Poirier. I think he's super sharp and clean in there. I think Max is going to throw a lot of volume. And I'm really still curious to see how Max rebounds after getting knocked out for the first time. Mentally, he looks all there. Mentally, he looks great. I've been watching his YouTube, preparing his coaches. They got him dialed in. But he doesn't know what it's like until you get in there. Right. Like after getting that first punch, like, can I still take it like I used to, right? Which I think won't be a problem because Max is a different kind of dude. But regardless, I think Dustin Poirier is going to get it done here. I love this. I hope he gets the BMF title, rides off in the sunset. And I just can't talk good things enough about Dustin Poirier's first class guy. Give me DP.
And it is interesting, were it not for that brawl between Khabib Nurmagomedov and Conor McGregor after UFC 229, that interim lightweight title fight between Holloway and Poirier would have ceased to exist. All right, final order today, and appreciate everybody being with us live for 2 hours today on YouTube. It is Place Your Bets, brought to you by JonAnik.com, where you can get 15% off your merchandise order with promo code ONEMORESLEEP. All right, quickly, we update the standings. Team Petrie was minus $12,000 and change. Good week for you, though, Brian. UFC 317. $2,000 parlay on Ilia Topuria and Alexandre Pantoja. Paid you $1,379 and change. Also hit on Topuria by knockout. Had $100 on Terrence McKinney by round 1 submission at plus 380. Did have a loss on Jack Hermanson for $500. But for the week, plus 1487. 88 cents, shaves your appreciable nut down to minus $10,986.57. Team Florian was at plus $3,820.08. He had a $1,500 straight wager on Joshua Van. Nicely done there. That page of 1428. Also, parlay Topuria and Pantoja, as Brian did. You did lose $500 on Felipe Lima against Peyton Talbot, but another strong week for KenFlo. Plus $1,618 year-to-date for Kenny. Plus $5,438. And 31 cents. All right, $3,000 to spend. It is a pay-per-view week, UFC 318. Brian Petrie leads us off, as always.
I mean, Kenny's shooting the lights out at the gym. I mean, I have a good week. He has a better week. But listen, chip away. We're going to do it. So I'm going to spread the money around. I really wanted to just load up on Loke Dog. I know a lot of people don't like when I do that. So we're going to mix it up. So give me $300 on Dustin Poirier at plus 105. I like the underdog money. I like DP. Give me $100 on Michael Johnson at plus 380. I can't. Okay. I mean, I have to bet that. Give me $400 on Oliveira.
Yep.
Give me $200 on Kevin Holland by sub, which I'll chase that number for you later this week, Johnny. And then give me $1,000 on Kevin Holland money line. I was gonna parlay it, but I didn't want to get too cute. Give me. Yep. I know it's a big number, but we'll win about $300 on that, so I'll take it.
All right, so Petrie, 300 straight on Dustin Poirier, $100 on Michael Johnson, $400 on Lock Dog, $200 on Kevin Holland by submission, and $1,000 on Kevin Holland on the money line. That brings us to the leader in any clubhouse, Kenny Florian, looking to add to his totals. Who do you have this weekend, my brother?
Yeah, a little boring here, but I'm going to put all 3,000 on Kevin Holland.
Woo!
Yeah.
No, this is not. He's not here to take part, man. Let me tell you
something. When I do that, everybody in the comments like, BP, spread your money. Kenny's doing. They're like, listen, that's a sharp move. That's a sharp fucking move. Right?
Yeah.
I
mean, you know that whole fuck around and find out.
That's right. That's right.
Brian Petrie can be heard on the MMA Takes podcast later this week for a more in-depth look at UFC 318. Brother, we love you. Appreciate you. Anything else before we let you fly?
Nothing. Good to see you, boys. It's been about 2 weeks since I saw you. You guys are the best, and enjoy your week.
Thank you, buddy. You too. Brian Petrie with us for Place Your Bets and the Main Event Challenge. We got to get on out of here. Don't forget to get it over to UFC Fight Pass later in the week. KenFlo and I looked back at the entire 2-fight series between Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway, including that 5-round fight at UFC 236 in 2019. Thank you to Ray Longo, Jason Anik, the Action Man, Chris Curtis, and Brian Petrie for joining us today. And thanks to all of you for joining us live. Thanks to our executive producer, Cody Merrow. We are back with you on Monday to recap the pay-per-view that was in New Orleans at UFC 318. I also have an appearance coming up, I think, Friday night in New Orleans, so stay tuned to my social channels for that if you happen to be in the area. With that, for KenFlo, I'm Jon Anik. Thank you all for watching, for listening. Until next Monday, have a great week. Enjoy the pay-per-view. Yo, later.
I love this shit.